Hello and thank you for downloading my Amazon MasterPlan course. In this course I'm going to be showing you how to build your own brands and products leveraging the power of Amazon.com. So over the past decade I've tried and tested pretty much every single online business. In this video I'm going to run through exactly what the Amazon MasterPlan is and tell you what you're going to be doing and what you're going to try to achieve in this course. So basically, as an overview, the idea here is to source products to sell on Amazon. Amazon is one of the biggest, well, it is the biggest buyer's engine in the world. People, as in online entrepreneurs, make an absolute killing using Amazon. I know many people who work from home who make over $500,000, even more than $1 million a year selling products on Amazon, and the opportunity is really vast. And this is what this course is going to cover, exactly what you should be doing to take advantage of the opportunity. So to begin with, you will be researching and identifying product opportunities, and these are products you're going to be selling on Amazon. You're going to do some testing to check these products will sell. We're only looking for really proven products. Then you're going to move forward with the top 3 best product opportunities from your research, and I think the aim is to pick about maybe sort of 30 to 40 product opportunities, then sort of whittle them down into 3, and then you move ahead with some additional research, try to find suppliers and see which products are viable, and then you decide which product to move forward with to begin with. And once you've done that, then you will start creating your brand, your logo, packaging. You'll order a product sample, and if everything is okay with a product sample and the supplier is reliable, then you'll do an initial inventory order. Once that has happened, you will basically create your website for your brand. It'd be a very simple website. You don't need any previous experience to build this website. We use a service called Wix.com, and you also start creating your marketing material as well as setting up the Amazon account and doing your product listing. So when your product is ready, we don't obviously know where it's going to be shipped from. Most likely it's going to be China. Your manufacturer will be in China, but the manufacturer will ship it to Amazon's, one of Amazon's warehouses in the US, assuming you're going to sell in the US. And then every time you make a sale, Amazon will ship it for you and do all the customer service. And so it's a very good system. You really never actually need to see any of your inventory at all. You literally just get it created, send it to Amazon, and Amazon deals with it. So then you'll launch your product, and then we're going to be looking into how to market the product, how to expand into other products, how to build your brand, and really how to do this multiple times, and so you have more products, more brands, and essentially make more money as a result. But everything here is completely proven. I do it myself. I know literally hundreds of other people who use this system and who run this business model, and it's very exciting. It's one of the easiest business models that I've ever come across online, and I've done pretty much everything there is to do over the past 10 years. I've tried everything, and this one really is a very good one, because not only are you building your own business, you're building your own products and your brands that you can sell further down the line. It's something you can do from home, and it really is a very good thing to be doing, and certainly at the moment it's one of the best online opportunities there is out there. And so I'm very pleased you've decided to take the course, and if you have any questions at all as you're going through the course, then please let me know. Okay, that's it for this video. To begin with, you will need to find the physical product that you will be selling on Amazon via their FBA service. Now you have a couple of options here. You can either sell on Amazon.com, you can sell on Amazon.uk or another Amazon marketplace for another country. So Amazon.com is the US version, or the US site, and I highly recommend selling on Amazon.com because there is just more traffic, more buyers, and more potential to make more money. Once you've decided, you will need to start doing your research to find products that are proven to sell. The aim is to create an initial list of around 30 to 40 product ideas, and I think what's important to say from the outset is that what you're looking for is simplicity. You're not looking for complex products. You want something that is easy to make, easy to sell, and that is also proven to already sell on Amazon, and so there's no guesswork here. The first thing you'll need to try and you'll need to avoid is to sell cheap products. You don't want to be selling products under $10 because the aim is to achieve a net margin of $10 per sale. In other words, you want to be making at least $10 profit for every product that you sell. However, there can be some sort of different ways of looking at this when you're doing your research. I'll give you an example. If you look at this product, which are paintbrushes, if you go to Amazon, type in paintbrushes, on the first page on the results, you see there are many products under $10 and a few under $5. And one of the products under $10, which is a set of 5 paintbrushes, is selling for about $6.99. So based on the criteria that I'm laying out here, you would look at that and you would think that, okay, well, paintbrushes are no good because they're selling for under $10. However, you need to think outside the box just a little bit, because of course you could sell more paintbrushes for a higher price and make the $10 per sale, which is required. And as an example, this product here, instead of selling 5, he's selling 30, and he's selling, or she is selling, for $20. And so they're definitely making over $10 per sale here, I would have thought. So even though you need to look for products which are selling for over $10, just bear in mind you can sell multiples of the same product within the same item for more money, and which will be sufficient. The other things you need to avoid are categories where you need Amazon approval. If you follow this link in the manual, you will see a list of those. We also want to avoid electronics. We also want to avoid heavy products that would be expensive to ship, because in most cases you will be selling, sourcing your products in China, and ordering, say, 100 products, 200 products, 500 products, and getting them shipped from China to one of Amazon's fulfillment centers in the US. And of course, sending anything from China to America is expensive, and the larger the weight or the heavier the item that you're sending, the more expensive it's going to be. And so if you are selling 100 baby bottles, then that's going to be cheap to ship. If you're selling 100 tennis ball machines, that's going to be incredibly expensive. So that's another thing you need to think about, is how big is the product, how heavy is it, how easy or difficult will it be to ship. The other thing I would recommend avoiding to begin with are products where you would need to offer variations. Just a very simple example would be clothes, or hats. Let's say hats, you would need, probably 4 or 5 different variations in size to cater for children, men, women, big heads, large, small heads, etc. So anything where you would need variations, I would avoid to begin with, and that's simply because you will just need to put down more money for more inventory, and that is something you want to avoid to begin with to keep your costs down. The other thing, or the final thing you would need to avoid, are products that would be assembled by, or need to be assembled by the customer. You don't want any issues with that, relying on people to actually put a product together. You need something which is already done. Instead, you would need to look for products that, as I've written out here, are simple and uncomplex, light in weight, not too bulky for the reasons I've mentioned, be inexpensive to manufacture, be easy to private label, and private label means, is it feasible to actually put your brand name on the product? I mean, if you're just looking at the product, would it be possible to do that? And ideally, you would want to sell products in markets where customers would also be interested in other types of products within the same niche. And the reason why you'd want to do that is, if a customer buys a product from you, ideally you're going to want to try and sell them a different product in the same niche further down the road. But we'll go into that later and exactly how you can do that. On this page, I've given some examples of good products and some examples of bad products. And then I've included some methods that I use to find products and find product ideas on the Amazon marketplace. Now, the first method is to go to the bestsellers page and scroll through, just click through all the categories, subcategories, and find product ideas that from these pages that obviously sell incredibly well, because if they're selling on if they're listed on the bestsellers page, the volume is going to be very high. And I've listed out both the bestsellers pages for the UK and for the US on this page. So let's just have a look at this quickly. This is the Amazon bestsellers page for the US website, and what you can do here is just to click through into all the different categories. Let's say automotive, and then you can click through, to subcategories like oil and fluids, motorcycle, interior accessories, and so forth. And literally, it's just the case of looking through all the products and seeing what might be, feasible to sell. Now, you need to look at price. There are other elements, we need to have a look at in further lectures, but just for now, we just need to come up with ideas. So, for instance, this one is quite interesting. It's selling well. It's a microfiber drying towel for a car. So, in this example, again, we're looking at a price here which is under $10. However, I think this product would be quite easy to sell as a pack of 3. And so instead of $7, you'd be selling for $21 or $24.99 or whatever the price would be. So I'd look at this and think, okay, it's selling well. If people are using a drying towel for their car, it's going to get dirty. People would probably want or would buy a pack of 3. I think they would see value in buying a pack of 3. So I would say that this is a good product and a potential, and I would be marking it down onto my spreadsheet. And let's see if there are any others here. Potentially a first aid kit, that's selling well. You can probably get those in packs already made up in China from a manufacturer. It's easily brandable because you can put your logo on here. And again, there are some more towels here. Those would be good products. Just clicking through, again, looking at the bestsellers and yoga equipment. I think looking at these, I think these would be good products. These are yoga blocks. Again, under $10, but I would assume you could probably could feasibly sell a pack of 2. And in fact, you can order multiple products here. So that could be a possibility as well. So that's looking at the bestsellers area of Amazon. Now, the second method is just to browse through the main Amazon directory. And you can do that just by clicking Shop and Department here, and it brings you to the Earth's biggest selection page. And again, you just click through, just try and find product ideas. Now, the important thing here is, don't think too hard about it. It's just important just to go look at the criteria that I've set out in the manual and really just note down ideas. That's all they are at this stage, they're just ideas. We can go into further research later. So don't overthink it, just mark down as many as you can. It can be 40, 50, 60, 70. It's going to take you a while. For research is always the most time consuming part, but it's very, very important that it's done correctly. Now the final method is to go and use Amazon's search bar. Now this means if, for instance, I was looking at those yoga blocks and I thought, okay, so yoga is a good market, yoga blocks are a potential product. What else is selling on Amazon to do with yoga? So if you type in a word like yoga into the search bar, Amazon is going to give you a list of popular search phrases which people are currently searching for. So you can see yoga pants, yoga ball, yoga shorts. These are all potential products as well, and potentially, you know, if they matched the criteria, then you can also note them down on your spreadsheet. You can also look for ideas based on the product that you found. So in this case, yoga blocks. If I type in blocks, or attempt to type in blocks, you can see some ideas for the actual, you know, how would you sell it, what the product, how would you make it different. So you can sort of see what people are searching for here. So a yoga block 2-pack, okay, that's a potential idea of how to position the product. Yoga blocks and strap sets, so people are searching for that. You could then sell 2 blocks, 2 straps for $30 more, make $15 per sale. So, you know, you can just basically just come up with additional ideas based on what Amazon gives you when you type in, you know, C keywords or keyword phrases into the search bar. So that's it for this lecture. Again, I really just encourage you just to not really overthink this part, because we actually do more in-depth research later on. Just get the spreadsheet, note down as many ideas as possible, and then we can dive deeper into each of them later and see which ones you can go ahead with and sell. Okay. In this video, I want to run through a really good way of finding high value product opportunities. So when you're trying to find products to sell on Amazon or even eBay or other places on your own e-commerce store, usually what people do is to go to the Amazon bestsellers list, which you can either Google it, or this is the URL up here, and try to you know, dig down deep into the various categories and subcategories and try and spot products that are selling well, or product types that are selling well, and you know, spot trends, and essentially just trying to, you know, come up with good opportunities to do further research for. But it can take quite a long time to do this, because you know, you have to click through to the product details page. You've got to assess, you know, where they are ranking. You've got to look at how the product is being marketed, you know, the number of reviews it has, and so forth. And so it can take quite a long time to do this. But quite recently, a new tool came out called Ace Inspector, and which essentially makes the whole process much easier. Now what this is, it's actually a Chrome extension. It's like a tool which you install on Google Chrome, and I'm just going to give you an example of how to use it, because I think it's going to, you know, it's going to really help you. So once you're on this, you know, particular page like this, well, actually let's dig down deep into like a different category, one which we can actually sell in. So for instance, let's pick art, crafts and sewing. So you have all your products listed out here. These are the top selling products, and what you do is to go up to this blue button top right here, and you just literally just click it. And what Ace Inspector will do, it will take each of those products on that page, it will retrieve a ton of data for each, and it will give you a really good indication of what is selling well, how many sales are doing per month, you know, the revenue, reviews, ratings, and all sorts of information. But instead of clicking through to each individual product details page and having to note it down, it just gives you everything right up front, and it can, you know, you can really sort of see immediately what is selling really well. So for instance, you know, if we're having a look at, you know, these colouring pencils. It's a great opportunity, most likely, because it's something, we'd have to assess the competition a little bit further, but it's a great opportunity um, because it's something you could easily find a manufacturer for and private label. It's a very simple product. It has, a few obviously different parts in terms of, the actual pencils, but it's a classic small private label type product. And as you can see, you can, and this is just for this particular product, it's estimating, and it's relatively accurate, I think, that it's doing about $36,000 per month in revenue. Then if you imagine that it's possibly making 50 to 70% margin on that, they're doing, it's a big earner. And so it gives you a really good indication of the types of products that sell well and which are earning a lot of money, so you can note them down and do further research on them. And you can even go, we go back to any department and have a look at another, like kitchen and dining maybe. You can scroll down. You can go right down into the different pages, and click it again, and you can again see what's selling well here. There are all sorts of things which are doing well. Even these copper mugs. They're very simple and very cheap. And they're estimating, well, so they're cheap to buy. They're estimating, they're doing, almost $10,000 a month in profit. Sorry, in revenue, which is probably $5,000 to $7,000 in profit. So, yeah, you can keep going and note down different. It just saves you a lot of time. It's a great tool, and as I'm sure you can see. So I would definitely recommend checking it out. And I think no matter whether you're selling on Amazon, or whether you're selling on eBay, or whether you have an e-commerce business, drop shipping, or even if you're just doing general niche research, using this tool is going to be hugely advantageous, and I think it'll save you a lot of time. And I encourage you to check it out because I think it's great, and it's probably the best piece of software I've seen for many years. Okay, yep. So go ahead and check it out, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. In this video, I want to go through how to fill in the research spreadsheet. So once you've downloaded the spreadsheet, then open it either in Excel or in OpenOffice. Once you've opened it, it should open directly on the Amazon Products tab, which is down here. You can see there are 3 tabs. The other 2 are Notes and Suppliers. And you may need to, drag, depending what program you're opening it up with, you may need to, everything might be squashed. You may need to open it up a little bit like that. So once you've done that, once it's all laid out properly, then you'll see where to add in your research. So in the first part of research, you're going to be going through, different types of products. You'll be looking at yoga mats or whatever it would be, paint brushes, yoga blocks, golf balls, and it could be one of, thousands of product types. So in in the first part, you would just literally just add them in here and nothing else. And so you'd be adding yoga blocks and golf balls and whatever you're finding, and then it would be a good idea to also add in the main product keyword as well. And in the viability video, I explain how to do that and how to find that particular keyword. It's incredibly simple. Then you would add in the Facebook audience here. Once you've done that, then merchant words traffic, Google traffic, then the bestseller ranking here, so product 1, product 2, product 5. So add those numbers in as you extract them out of Amazon. Then again, these are the review numbers, so product 1, product 2, product 3, the price of the product, and then once you get to the when you're checking whether a product is going to be profitable or not, and you can add in the amount of money it's going to cost to acquire and ship each individual product, and the estimated profit you'll make for each individual product you sell on Amazon. Now, based on that, you can either say a yay or a nay here to see whether this is an opportunity you want to move forward with or not. So that's how to fill in the first tab. Then on the second tab, I have added a section for notes. In the section on how to check for traffic, I was doing a demonstration of, you might not have seen that video yet, but I was doing a demonstration on how to search on merchant words, and some additional keywords and product ideas came up when doing that research. I was looking at yoga block sets and lotus yoga blocks, and if you come up with any additional product ideas here, then add them into the additional keywords section here, or you could just add in another column. Then in this section, this isn't totally necessary, but you could also add in the competition product URLs. And so when you are searching on Amazon and you're searching for the main product keyword to see what the competition will be, you could directly link to each of those product pages here. So when you're going through the research, rather than having to go through Amazon again and search for the keyword and then click through to the product, you can get to each product directly from this section of the spreadsheet. Then the final tab is for suppliers, and so when you're at the stage when you're searching for suppliers and seeing who's available and whether they're reliable and so forth, and you can add all that information in here. Here I've added in the supply URLs for that particular product for yoga mats. Here, this is my second supplier, the third supplier, and it's just literally just so you can remind yourself, rather than writing notes or putting it on a text file or something on your computer, you can just add everything in here, so you can go directly to that particular supplier without having to search for them again. And then I've written, the price per product, the minimum order for this particular product from this supplier, and so forth. Then I've written also some notes here. Supplier 1 can do private labeling. It'll do this. That's supplier 2 did not respond. And so essentially the reason why I've done this is when you're actually going through, just to go through the process again, you are going to find 30 to 40 Amazon products, potential product opportunities. After doing the next piece of research, looking into viability and profitability, it'll probably go down to 5 or 10, and then you're going to move forward with your top 3, which will eventually turn into the first one you're going to go ahead with. And if you have, when you're sort of making those assessments and looking at all the data you've added in, if everything is just in one spreadsheet, I mean, you can just go from look at the product descriptions and the audience and look at the BSR numbers, and it's all sort of written out. It's much easier to identify what the best opportunities are. So I really recommend that you fill this spreadsheet in fully when you're doing your research. And remember, never delete anything out of your spreadsheet, even if you think, okay, so yoga blocks, it's too much competition. Don't delete it. Just keep it there. The competition may go down, or you may become incredibly successful Amazon marketer and you can wipe the competition clean at a later date. So never delete anything. That's the other thing to say. Okay, that is everything for this video. In this video, we're going to be looking at the viability of each of the product ideas you wrote down in the first section. So you should have 30 to 40 ideas. Now we're going to need to look at buyer volume, seller competition, product price, traffic volume, and the reach on Facebook. And the reason why we want to look at all of these, we want to be absolutely sure that once we've ordered our inventory and it's been sent to Amazon, that we can sell these products. There is a demand, there isn't too much competition, and we want to know for sure 100% that money will be made. So to begin with, you will need to find out or identify the main product keyword for each of your product opportunities. Now, in most cases, this is going to be simple. If you noted down yoga mats, that's what people would search for. Again, this is what the main product keyword is, what people would search for on Amazon in order to find this particular product. Golf balls, again, okay, that's going to be golf balls. People are going to be searching for golf balls. However, in this example I've given here, and you can see this on the next page in the manual, there's this water bottle here called Camelback Eddy Triton Bottle. Now, you might have written this down in your spreadsheet as Camelback Eddy Triton Bottle, but clearly people are not going to be searching for that phrase when they're looking for water bottles. They're going to be searching for water bottles, and so that would be the main keyword phrase for this particular product. So you just need to make sure you've got all of those noted down before you carry on with the additional research. Next, we're going to look at buyer volume, and buyer volume we can assess by looking at the BSR, which is the bestseller rank of the top ranking products that appear when you search for your main product keyword. So if the BSRs are high, this indicates that the buyer volume is low, and vice versa. The lower the BSR, the more volume, the more products are being sold on Amazon. That's according to Amazon, that's what they're telling us. So in order to find the BSRs, we need to go to Amazon and we need to type in the main product keyword and go to the first 5 products. And so in this instance, I've typed in yoga blocks as an example, and what I will need to do is to go through all of these products, scroll down, go to product details, and you can see the Amazon bestseller rank here. Now in this case, you don't want to look at any of your subcategories, you only want to look at this figure in the top level category. So this is 616 in sports and outdoors, and so that is the number that you'll need to write down into the spreadsheet. Now you'll need to do that for the top 5 products. Now I've written down here, which is the criteria, that you will need to make sure that 3 out of the top 5 listed products have a BSR of 5,000 or under. Okay, so just write the products, write the numbers down, but then you'll need to go back, and when you're assessing the criteria and all the data, you'll need to bear that in mind when you're choosing which products to move forward with. Then after you've listed down the BSR for a particular product, you'll have to look at seller competition. Now, seller competition can be assessed by the number of reviews the top ranking products have. And the reason for this is if a product has lots of reviews, it's going to be ranked higher by Amazon. And you'll need to, essentially, when you have your product for sale on Amazon, you'll need to outrank the other products, and basically that means getting more reviews and more positive reviews than the other products. Now, if a product has lots of reviews, or say the top 3 products all have 1,000 reviews and over, it's going to be very, very difficult to get over 1,000 reviews, which means selling thousands and thousands of that particular product in order to outrank them. So again, that wouldn't be a good opportunity to move forward with, because there's going to be too much competition. You basically want to make sure that the top 3 products that appear in the results have more than 30 reviews but less than 500 reviews. And again, you type in your main product keyword. Now again, you've got to be sure that you've selected all here, not a specific department, so make sure it's selected on all, and then you can note down the number of reviews here. So the numbers you put into your spreadsheet are 371, 269 and 82. Next, you're going to be looking at product price. So just note these down, even though I've set some criteria here. So I've said that make sure the top 3 products listed are priced over $10 but under $75. So you will need to write those down as well. Now, looking again at this example, $12.99, that's the number here. You'd look at the lowest number, so $10.75, ignore whatever the higher number is, just note down $10.75, and again here's $7.99. So you would write down those into the spreadsheet. Now obviously we need to make sure that we're going to be making $10 net profit per sale, but we've sort of went through that in the last sections, but for now, again, get everything down into the spreadsheet. It's always good to have, to complete all your research for each product opportunity, because there may be ways to increase the price, to sell in bulk, and so forth. So just write down the prices for now. Then we need to look at general traffic volume, and we can do this either on Merchant Words or on Google's Keyword Planner, or both. And I've written down some criteria here. So on Merchant Words, we literally just go to, we go to the search page and we type in, again, yoga blocks. And once we have the results, we need to sort by highest volume first, and then we can see the estimated search volume for each of these types of yoga blocks. It's only estimated, but this is roughly, well, we can certainly get an idea whether people are searching for a particular product, and in this case they are. Now the other thing to bear in mind is to also note down some additional product ideas and possibly some ways to position the product. So clearly people are looking for yoga blocks with the lotus symbol on, and people are looking for 2 packs of yoga blocks or a cork yoga block. So when you're thinking about product opportunities, you think, okay, so I know what people are generally searching for, what they're looking for when they're searching for this particular type of product, and that should give you some ideas. So also note those down as well. Then obviously add all that data into the spreadsheet for each of your product opportunities. Do the same with Google. I'm not going to go through Google's keyword planner in this video, because it's kind of self-explanatory, and I've explained how to use it here. Next, we'll have to look at Facebook audience. Now we need to make sure, once we're reviewing all the research and all the data, that the audience that you can market to on Facebook needs to be at least 150,000 people, but preferably it should be a lot more than that, because 150,000 people is not a particularly big market. It's okay, but it should be, the more the better in most cases. So when we're doing that, we basically just need to go to Facebook. Here we need to select the location. So if you're selling in the United States, then that's the only country you need to add in. Age, totally dependent on product, but I, in most cases, would say over 25s. Gender, obviously it's a product specifically for women, such as face cream, you would just select women. Something like yoga, it's best to keep the gender as all. Leave languages blank. Next, we're going to need to look at the size of the Facebook audience. So I've written down what you need to do, but just to explain it, we're going to need to make sure that the Facebook audience is more than 150,000 people. And because obviously you want a particular number of people you can market to on Facebook. You don't want it to be too small, otherwise you're sort of wasting your time. If there's no one out there to buy the product. So what we need to do is to go to Facebook. If you're marketing or selling on Amazon.com in the United States, you'll need to set the location as only the United States. Age, it really depends on the product. I usually set it at 25 and above, no matter what the product is, because 25 and above people generally have more money and are more likely to have money to spend on a particular product. Gender, again, it just depends on the product. If it's face cream for women, obviously you would just type, select women. Languages, just keep that blank. Interests, now there are a couple of ways you can it really again depends on the product that you're selling, but I'll give you a couple of examples. Okay, so first one, yoga blocks. So you're going to want people interested in yoga, and that's how you're going to find the audience. And all you would do is just type in yoga like that, and the audience is obviously massive. Now, if you are selling a brand of yoga pants, then actually that's a particular interest on Facebook. I'm not quite sure why the reasons for that would be, but just as an example, and obviously there are 1.3 million people interested in yoga pants. So if you were to sell yoga pants, then you could also target people interested in yoga, but that's obviously a good thing if there are a certain number of people you can reach on Facebook interested in a very specific product. So in this case, this would pass. Now, if you were searching, or if you were selling a product such as wedding rings, now people wouldn't have wedding rings as an interest. You're not going to say on Facebook, oh, I like wedding rings. So you can't find people that way, but you can still find a market to, or a set of, an audience, sorry, to market to. So the way you would do that is to use more demographics. Now you kind of have to think outside the box a little bit here. Again, depending on the product, if you're selling pencils or packs of pencils or something like that, potentially people going to school would be interested in those. You could do like a back to school promotion, blah blah blah. So you can find certain people that way. As an example, I mentioned wedding rings. I would just go to relationship status like that, go to engaged, and if people are engaged, they're going to be interested in buying wedding rings because they're going to be getting married and they're going to need them. So that's how I would find my audience for that type of product. Again, it would pass as 3.3 million people are engaged currently in the United States between the ages of 25 and 65. So that would, that's how I would find that particular audience. And so you kind of just need to think outside the box, really. Now, once you have done that, I've given some additional methods here. For Facebook, I've written everything out for you, so it should be clear on how to find your audience, or just to confirm that there is an audience to market to. Now, after you've completed all this research, you will have to, see which products, you can potentially move forward with. Doing all this research will obviously eliminate a lot of products, but if you had 30 to 40 products to begin with, perhaps after doing this you might have 5 or 10 that you could potentially move forward with. Okay, so that's all for this video, and we will move on to the next stage. In this section of the course, we are going to look at how to verify the profitability of your product ideas. Now, you should have a list of viable products. Now, your initial list of say 30 or 40 ideas, is likely to have been trimmed down by half at least, because not all your initial ideas would have been viable according to the criteria set out in the previous section of the course. So you've got your trimmed down list, and the next thing we need to do is to check that there are suppliers for these products, and to find out roughly what the cost per product unit will be. So the way we do this is to go to Alibaba.com, and taking the example of yoga blocks, again, we just type in yoga blocks. I've already done this, press search, and then we get a list of potential products and suppliers. Now we don't want to look too deeply into it. We just want to check that what price will be for the actual product, roughly. So looking at this, it looks as though it's going to be roughly $1 per block. And so if we're selling 2 blocks in one product, then we know that actual product cost is going to be $2. And I think it would probably be wise maybe just to add another $1 onto that for packaging and so forth. So we know that each yoga block product is going to cost us roughly $3. Now with that information, just going back to the spreadsheet, we need to go to sales calc. And what we're going to be doing, and it's important to mention this now, is we're going to be selling the products more expensively than other people. So we're going to be selling premium. We don't want to sell cheap. We want to sell premium, because premium products, more expensive products, generally tend to sell more than cheaper products. But we'll go into that a little later on. So once we've done that, we need to go to sales calc. And I've given a link for this in the manual. Now for yoga, the idea of sales calc, or the Amazon tool, is to essentially find out if you're selling a particular product for a certain price on Amazon, whether it's going to be profitable. So let's take the example of yoga blocks again. So what we would need to do is to find the correct category, which in this case would be sports. The sale price. Now the sale price, we would need to, because we're going premium, like I just said, we need to be more expensive. we would look at the products in the spreadsheet and add 50% to the most expensive product, which is currently listed in Amazon in the search results when the main seed keyword is searched for. So for instance, if the most expensive yoga block product was $15, we would add roughly $7 onto the top of that. So our sale price would be roughly $29.95, something like that. Weight, you can usually find this out by looking at a different product. It sometimes gives the weight. You can also look at the manufacturer. The information may give an Alibaba to determine the weight of each block. Let's just say it's £3. Shipping method, just keep it as domestic standard. Shipping price, it kind of depends, but I think you can. Actually, it gives $5.99 as a standard domestic price now. But it doesn't really matter because that doesn't really. I mean, it does determine what your profit will be, but that's kind of up to Amazon and up to the customer. So we need to tick Pro Merchant subscriber, because that's what you will be when you sign up to Amazon. So the cost to acquire, that will be what we just determined by looking at Alibaba. So the cost to acquire would be, let's say, $3. The cost to ship, and this is per individual product. So if we had, say, 500 yoga blocks and the shipping was 500 in total, that's going to mean it's going to be $1 per block. If we're selling 2 blocks, let's just say the shipping is going to be $2. Desired profit, we don't need to worry about that because we're actually, you can add this information in, but we're doing it the other way round. So we've now determined that we're going to be selling the yoga blocks at $22.95. The weight's £3. Shipping domestic standard. Again, it doesn't really matter too much about that. I mean, it does make a difference, but like I say, just set up whatever it is for domestic standard. Pro Merchant, $3 to acquire, $2 to ship. Now, once we've entered all of that information in, we can see what we're actually going to be making. So the proceeds, which are the sale price plus the shipping, will be $28.94. So that's what the customer will be paying. The cost for the actual item, shipping, Amazon fees, and the Amazon fees is a percentage, 15% of the total proceeds will be $4.34. Basically, our net profit in this instance is going to be $19.60, which is a margin of almost 70%. So we know that this product is going to be profitable, so it's definitely got potential if we're selling at that price and we're buying at $3 each, and shipping is going to be $2 per product from China to the United States. So there's definitely a lot of potential here, very high margins once a product is sold. So this is looking in this instance it's looking good. So in the rest of the manual, I've actually just run through this as giving another example of yoga mats, but hopefully you can sort of see how to do this and how to determine whether a product is going to be profitable or not. Once you've done that, you just need to sort of make a note of these in your spreadsheet just to say yes, is it going to be profitable or not. And then once we move on to determining what products you're going to move ahead with for the final part of the research, this is good. This is going to help. Now you have your final list of product ideas. So we've been through the viability and profitability sections and have trimmed down the list accordingly based on what passes or doesn't pass for criteria. And now you'll have a list of the best ideas, the best products, the ones which have the most potential. Now, at this point, you will need to pick out 3 product choices to move forward with for the remaining parts of the research. Now, this should be, hopefully clear by looking at the traffic data, the audience size, the profit per unit, how well a product is selling on Amazon, how many reviews a particular product or competing products have. And so, don't discard, your other product ideas because, you'll most likely want to come back to them. But for now, you will just need to choose 3 products to move ahead with. If you have any trouble in deciding what these are going to be, then, you can contact me and I can definitely help in this area. Now you have your top 3 product opportunities, you will need to delve a little deeper into finding suppliers who manufacture these products. Now, to begin with, it's usually worth trying to find a supplier in the country where you're going to be selling. In this instance, it's likely going to be the USA. And the reason why it's easier for shipping, easier for communication reasons, there are advantages. The only advantage, or disadvantage rather, will be the price. It really depends on the product, and maybe, I know a lot of people who sell products on Amazon which are made in the USA. It's also good as a sort of a marketing angle to say that the product is USA made if you're selling to people living in the USA. It does make a difference to conversions. However, the reality is you will most likely have to go to China or the Far East to find your product and your supplier, your manufacturer. So let's go back to Alibaba, and again go do a search for yoga blocks, which was the example we were using in a previous video. Now what you'll need to do is, after searching for yoga blocks, is to filter down by trade assurance, gold supplier. So you only want gold suppliers. You only want to see suppliers that have had an on-site check. So Alibaba has actually been to them and have also been assessed by a third party. So you just want to make sure you're only dealing with people who have, are top suppliers, because there's always, I've been dealing with Alibaba and Chinese suppliers for a long time. I've never ever had any problem. But you just want to make sure you're only dealing with the most responsive and the most professional suppliers. So after you've done that, after you've filtered down, you can see now that some of the products that were listed there previously have now disappeared. So the next thing you'll need to look at, the response rate of the supplier. So you do want to make sure that you're dealing with a supplier who gets back to you and gets back to you quickly. If you're waiting for days for a reply, or it's not ideal, especially if you need to do a reorder or you just want to find out more information. You want people who are responsive and who are actually set up properly in order to deal with customer inquiries. Now, again, I've been dealing with a lot of manufacturers in China, and I've never ever had a problem, touch wood, with any of them. Some can be difficult. The language barrier can be challenging sometimes, but in most cases you won't find it difficult at all, even though dealing with suppliers from a different country may seem a little daunting to begin with. So 85% response rate here, so that's a pretty good response rate. 67%, again 85%. So these suppliers look pretty good. The minimum order is quite low, 100 pieces, 300 pieces, 100 pieces. You want to keep your initial inventory order as low as possible and to put down the least amount of money as possible to to have the least amount of risk possible to begin with. And so just looking at these suppliers here, I'm not going to look too carefully at what the product is that they're selling. I'm really just going to concentrate on the type of suppliers you should be looking at. You need to look further down the page just to have a look at the other types of products that they sell, the details on their factory, just to sort of make sure that it's properly set up. You can usually get an indication by looking at the factory photos, and of course this is all sort of regulated by Alibaba, so in most cases it's going to be factual, and if they've had an on-site inspection, this is the reality. So this supplier looks pretty good. They produce yoga blocks, they produce yoga mats. They look like a proper supplier. So based on this, I would contact them and just to basically confirm about minimum orders. If I wanted my brand name put on, can I order samples? Just to sort of feel them out a little bit, just to see whether they're going to be easy or difficult to deal with. In this manual here, I've written a sample email which basically details the questions you should be asking. For instance, you need to ask about packaging, whether they do the packaging for a particular product, and if not, do they know someone who does, whether they are able to send samples, and you also need to confirm on the minimum order as well, and just to check that it is what it says it is on the website. So you just basically just want to ask them these questions just to sort of find out just a little bit more about them. And then once you've done this, once you get responses, then you can move forward. But again, you haven't decided on your actual product quite yet. You've got your top 3 product opportunities that you're still looking into, and based on the feedback you get from suppliers, and how with the minimum orders and the amount of inventory that you'll need to buy in the first place, these are all deciding factors when you actually come to choose the product you're going to move ahead with. So that's it for this video. You just need to search through suppliers, contact them, see what they how they respond to you, and then we can move on to the next section. Next, you will need to decide on the Amazon product, single Amazon product you will move forward with. So at this stage, you should have 3 potential Amazon markets / products, and I'm hoping that the suppliers for each of these products that you found on Alibaba.com will have replied, and based on that information, you will know now which one you should move forward with. So it's obviously based on everything, all the research that was done, the potential profit per sale, the traffic volume, the audience on Facebook, the competition, bestseller rank, and really whether also there are suppliers that you can effectively deal with, because a lot of it's down to, even if it's a really good product opportunity and the traffic's good and everything else sort of fits the bill, if you have an unreliable or difficult supplier, it just makes everything very difficult. So it is important to assess whether the suppliers will be easy to work with when you're making this decision. But you need to make a decision, so it's really just follow your gut, I think, and just move forward with whichever product you think has the most potential. If you have any issues in choosing, then again you can of course contact me, and I can help you through this. Okay. In this video, I'm going to talk about how to become a premium brand and why being premium is so important. There's this whole notion of perceived value, that even though there may be no difference in 2 similar products, the more expensive one is usually the one that sells more, because by default people think that the cheaper one, there must be something wrong or insufficient with the cheaper one. And we see this time and time again on Amazon and in general in any market really, that the more expensive products for premium brands always make more money. The example I've given on this page is wedding rings, and I've included one from Tiffany and an example of one from Blue Nile, which is another big jewellery site, which do very well, but not as well as Tiffany. So these 2 wedding rings are both platinum. They are literally identical in every way, because platinum is 95% pure in most cases, and there's very little you can do with that other 5%. So they are completely identical. But because it's Tiffany, and Tiffany have amazing packaging, and it's just they're a very well-known brand, and and people value their products extremely highly because of their history, they are able to charge literally double for exactly the same product and sell much more product than Blue Nile do. And Blue Nile is probably a $200-300 million company. Tiffany is I think a $4 billion company. So they charge more for everything, and they make more money as a result. And this is something that you need to think about and take into Amazon. Now, here are a few examples which I've just quickly looked up about how the more expensive product usually sells more. And with my own products, I see this time and time again, that I'm charging more for an identical product and I outsell the cheaper brands and the cheaper products every time. For instance, let's have a look at these. These are cycling gloves, and you can see the more expensive glove, which is $17, is, if you look at the number of reviews, you can usually gauge how well it's selling. And then you look at this other brand here, and the gloves are literally, well, less than half the price. But the more expensive brand, if you compare 300 reviews to 35 reviews, they're selling, usually, well, it's sort of 10 times the amount. I mean, that's not an exact figure. They may not be selling 10 times the amount. It's basically just an estimation, but they are outselling them by a long way. Then let's have a look at these yoga balls, and I don't quite know what these do, but if you look at these two products here, I bet they're from the same place, the same factory in China. But if you look at the way they're presented, which one would you rather buy? This one or this one? I mean, this one is much more appealing. It's a better brand. It's got, a nice logo on it. It's a nice black color. It just, even though it's identical and will function in exactly the same way, this one is just selling, well, considerably more than this one. Plus, they're making considerably more money per sale because this one is double the price. So that's another good example of how, to outsell other people selling exactly the same product. You just make a little bit more effort up front with your packaging and your branding, and you'll end up selling more and making more money. This is just another little example. I mean, these are groove cleaners for golf clubs, and you can see here that this brand Frogger is charging, well, I think their average price would probably be, sort of $20 or something like that. And, they're obviously doing relatively well. They've got 120 reviews, which means they're probably selling, probably 20, 30 products a day. And then you look at these other cheaper versions down here, so $7.95, $4.97 to $7.97. I mean, these guys are making like $2 a sale. But if you look at the number of reviews, they're doing okay. But these guys, and this one as well, doing better. Plus, they're making a lot more money per sale. They're definitely making $10 per sale on this, especially this one. And so this is the whole thing with branding. It can be, I guess, quite a nerve-wracking thing going onto Amazon with a new product and charging more than anyone else. But it does actually work pretty much every time. But people don't do it usually because they're just worried about, being more expensive. But being more expensive, it works. You sell more and you make more money per sale. So let's look at how to, some of the important factors about becoming a premium brand. The first thing is to have a good brand name. And the example I give in the manual, I give examples of Coke and Adidas and Apple and, a lot of huge companies where the actual name of the company or the name of the brand has absolutely, zero relation to the product that they're selling. And, that's when you're thinking of a brand name, that's what you need to think about too. There's this great tool called Wordoid, and you can create, or it sort of generates brand names and short brand names with available domain names based on what you add into it. So I've given an example in the manual, but I've just looked up just another random example going back to paintbrushes that we were talking about. So if I wanted to sell paintbrushes on Amazon and it was a new product and a new brand I was creating, I would use Wordoid to create the brand name. And what I would do is to add in English here, I would select high quality. You could do some variations here. You could try beginning with art, and I'm using art as an example. It could be paint or it could be brushes. Again, you could try and find a brand name with adding the name art to the end of the name. So you could it could be Bob's Art or something like that. So, but in this example, I've put beginning with art. The length I've set at 10 characters as a maximum. And I've also opted to show available domain names because you will preferably want a .com domain name to go with your brand, even if you're selling on Amazon, and the reason why is because later on in my course I'm going to show you how to drive Facebook traffic to your own website, collect leads, and then send them on to Amazon. But we'll talk about that a little later. So just in this example here, I had to sort of go through quite a number of pages to find something half decent. But you know, you can carry on and on and on. I mean, this took me literally 3 minutes to find artisize.com, which it's not a great brand name, but it would definitely suffice. So once you've created your products and you know you're planning them out, you know, they're being created by the manufacturer, you know, you're going to need to start thinking about this. So that is a demonstration of Wordoid. Now that's pretty much it for this section. The only other thing I wanted to mention is, you know, when you're creating products under the same brand name, you need to keep your sort of design style consistent. You know, you need to create, you know, very nice packaging, product labels, and they all sort of need to fit together. We're going to talk about product packaging in another lesson. In this video, we're going to talk about how to build a world-class logo for your brand. Now, logos are a funny thing. Most people pay an awful lot of money to get their logo created. You know, big brands and big companies pay vast amounts to get logos and branding, but you don't need to spend money, or any money really. You just need to make a bit of an effort. I mean, if you go onto a website or a service like 99 Designs, you know, it can cost, you know, $300, $500 to get a really good logo created, and there's no guarantee you're going to get anything good either. And I would much rather spend, and I'm sure you would, $300 or $400, $500 on inventory and not on a logo. It is surprisingly easy to create one yourself. You just have to put the effort in, and it doesn't take very long either. So what I recommend is to actually get Photoshop. Now, Photoshop used to be incredibly expensive. I think it used to be about $700 or something like that. But now they do monthly billing, and you actually get 30 days for free. Just need to remember, unless you want to continue, to cancel your subscription before the 30 days is out. But even if you don't, I think it's only $30 or $40 a month or something like that. And you know, it's something I use all the time. And becoming semi-proficient in it is definitely a good idea, because you can actually save, you know, vast amounts of money doing things yourself versus getting a graphic designer to do them. And in the last year alone, just by doing some of the graphic design work myself, I've saved, I mean, literally thousands of dollars. So what you'll need to do is to go to, I don't know the exact link, I think it's photoshop.com/products, and you can find the download link for Photoshop there. So download it, and then once you've done that, and it takes a little bit of time, then you know you can begin playing around with Photoshop and creating your logo. So I don't really want to make this Photoshop tutorial because I'm not really an expert in Photoshop at all. I know the basics, which saves me money, and that's all that matters. So when you have it open, first of all, you need to create a new image, and you do that by going new, and then it'll give you options to create an image here. So put it in pixels. You know, you can start off with 600 by 200 pixels just to create this kind of shape here. This is basically your palette that you can work on. So press OK. Let's use the Artisize brand name. Not a great brand name, but I found it in a couple of minutes, but just as a working example. So first of all, you need to click this text button down here, the T button, and draw a line. Make sure you've actually got some color on it so you can see. Oh, actually, I know the reason why it's so small, because it's 6 points. Okay. There we go. So let's put it in capitals. So art is size. it's going to be artisize.com, but you don't actually have to include the .com, or you shouldn't include the .com on your domain name. And we'll just make this just a little bit bigger. You can adjust the size of the fonts up here. Let's make it 70. I think that's going to be sufficient for now. So once you've created the text, if you just highlight the text here and then click up here, you can run through, that Photoshop has a huge amounts of fonts which are free fonts, and you don't need to really have anything particularly out there. I mean, if you look at the fonts on the logos for major brands like Facebook, I think Facebook use sort of Arial, or they use something very, very standard. They just make it look good by just playing about the spacing. But just for this example, as a very quick example, I quite like Helvetica Regular. So let's make it that for now. Then you can just sort of play about with it, really. You can make it a darker color. In this case, I would probably you could make the art a different color than the size. Something like that. And really, that's that's all there is to it. I mean, you're going to have to play about with it, play with different fonts, play with the size, and then once you've done this, all you need to do is save the image as a JPEG or as a PSD file. So you would do that by naming it logo, saving as Photoshop PSD, and then sending this to your manufacturer, who will put it on your product. Now there are a few other options you have here. If you don't find a font that you like, you can always use this great service. Well, it's not really a service, it's a free website, 1001 Fonts. And basically what you can do, you can put your brand name in here. So you just type it in. I've already done this to save time. And then you can test different fonts and different sizes. You can look at futuristic, and then you can scroll down and see anything which looks good. They have thousands of fonts, and I mean, what type of font you use really depends on what product you have. But then if you if you see something that looks good, you basically download the font, then you upload that font into Photoshop, and then you can create that font, create your brand name in that font, and then export it, then send it to your manufacturer. So that's another option if you can't find anything that you particularly like in Photoshop in terms of fonts. The other thing you can do is to add another, like a logo. You can find images like this everywhere online which are free to use. And in this case, you just duplicate the layer, send it to your new image, to your new logo, then you can just drag it and save that image, make it smaller, etc., etc. Have it here, twist it around. There are all sorts of things you can do. You just have to have a play with it. If you wanted to make this white space smaller, so just to crop it, you just go to this tool here, and then you drag it in like so. Press the arrow button, press crop, and there you have it. So it's not a brilliant example, but it's a sort of a demonstration that you can create a logo. It doesn't, you don't have to have anything particularly incredible, because if you look at the big brands, their logos, their actual text-based logos, are nothing special. They use regular fonts. They just need to, it just needs to stand out, and it really only takes you a short amount of time to do, and it can save you a lot of money versus getting a graphic designer to do it. Of course, you can get a graphic designer, but it will just cost you. So I prefer to use this method, and I do exactly the same thing with every single brand I create. I save money, and I do it myself in Photoshop, and you can use Photoshop for free for 30 days, which gives you ample time to create your own logo. In this video, I want to talk about the importance of packaging.
It's essential to have really good packaging, because good packaging will increase the perceived value of a product you're selling, allow you to be able to charge more money for your products, boost conversions, and as a result increase your profits. What's really important when you're doing your first products, your first few products, is to keep packaging simple. I mean, what you don't want to do is to find a separate packaging supplier. So in other words, getting your product made in factory number one and your packaging made in factory number two. There's nothing wrong with doing that. You just don't want to do it for your first product or first couple of products, because it just increases lead times, it increases complications, and it's just best to avoid doing that to begin with. What you want is, if at all possible, for your manufacturer to supply and do the packaging for you. That way everything's done in the same place and there are less likely to be delays. Now, there are a number of misconceptions, I think, about packaging, that good packaging has to be complex. In fact, it really doesn't need to be complex at all. If I just skip onto the next page here, I'll give you an example of what I usually do with most of my products. I actually create a box, like you can see there, like the Apple box for the iPad. I create one of those with my brand on it, with additional information on it, and that's what I do. Then I put the product actually in the box, so people get a really nice box when they receive a product, and it just increases customer satisfaction. It increases the number of reviews I get, and also the number of stars of those reviews. So I usually just get my product, I create a really good box, put the product in the box, and then Amazon ships it to the customer. And it's incredible that just having a simple box just has a huge effect. I mean, if you look at that Apple box, everyone loves their Apple boxes. No one ever throws them away, I don't think. And it's just really simple, really clean and smart. And so that's what you need to be aiming for, if at all possible. But it really depends on what your supplier can do. Of course, you don't need to go to the length of boxes and do stuff like that. And I'll just give you some more examples. So here's the first example. These are teething necklaces for babies. Now, if you look at this product, it's a very simple product. It's sourced from China. They're made in the hundreds of thousands probably. And if you were to sell this product for, just as it is in a clean, plastic bag, and to send it to the customer like that, I mean, the perceived value is low. It'd be perceived as being cheap, and you'd probably not be able to sell it for more than $5, $6, something like that. But what this seller has done is to create a really nice pouch for the product, as well as a certificate of authenticity. I'm not exactly sure what that certificate entails, but it really adds to the value. And when a customer or potential customers are looking at this product, they're likely buy it over another one because it has these additional elements to it. Now, this bag here, I would say, even with the print on it, would be no more than 50 cents. And a few products of mine, I actually get velvet bags made. The product gets put in the velvet bag, and those velvet bags only cost about $1 each, and so this is only 50 cents. That certificate of authenticity, printed off thousands of times, is really nothing. And so I would assume he or she is spending an additional 75 cents on packaging here, but it just increases the sales, by a huge amount. So just making that extra little bit of effort, just having a think about packaging, can make a huge difference. And it's really it's having the ability to sell a product like this for $5 versus $16.99, and making a $10 profit per sale easily on this. And it's selling incredibly well. It's 750 reviews. It's the #1 bestseller in baby teething relief. And if you have a look at similar products, they're all selling under $10. This is selling for double what the others are, and it's selling more than all the others. And I would say it's pretty much down to the packaging and the certificate of authenticity. Just another few examples. You can see this reflective running gear product here. All the other products are just have, it's just a sort of a normal product. It probably doesn't have any sort of special packaging. They're all under $10. They're all selling, well, they're not really selling very well. This one just makes just a little bit more effort with the packaging, just to have a nice sort of string bag here, probably a sort of a silk type of feel. And again, he's selling, for 50% more than the others, or almost double in some cases. But you can see by the number of reviews he has, it's likely he's outselling all of the others at a higher price, just because he has better packaging. This is another example. These are baby swaddle blankets which sell well on Amazon. He's selling 4 here. He's got really nice packaging. He's selling for $36, which is, I've actually researched these swaddles. They're about $1 each. He's making big money per sale on these, even with this packaging. This packaging looks very nice, but it's only $1 or $2 per item. Versus this product here, which is pretty much the same thing. It's not exactly cheap at $14.99, but per sale he's making over $10 most likely. But if you look at the number of reviews, 31 versus over 1,000 reviews, and he's just like I was explaining in one of the earlier videos. It's you can take one product and have multiple products in the same product and sell it for more and make more money per sale. And this is exactly what this person here is doing. He's packaging up 4 and he's making a lot more money than the person selling just 1. Plus he has the packaging, which really helps with conversions. As you can see, 31 reviews versus over 1,000. And again, that doesn't necessarily, you can't tell him, you have to look at the BSR, but it's a general indication. And again, this is just another example of a similar product. It's $8.99 and 90 reviews,
again,
versus nice packaging, bundling them up, 4 products in 1 product, and he's making considerably more money than the other 2 sellers. So that's pretty much it for packaging. You just really, I think what's important to begin with, just don't overthink it. Just create nice, simple packaging. Have it done by your manufacturer. If they can't do it, consider looking for another manufacturer. And don't go too crazy on the first one. Get everything done in the same place and get it shipped directly to Amazon. Don't go via a packaging company who puts all your products together, then send them on, because it's just going to create delays and will be frustrating, especially when it's your first product. So everything in the same place, simple packaging, clean, make it look really nice, and get your products packaged in-house and sent directly to Amazon's warehouse. Okay, that's it for this video. Once your sample has arrived and everything seems to be okay with the quality and you want to move ahead, then you can get your first inventory order confirmed. So what I recommend is to not place, and pay the whole amount to begin with. Pay a deposit, which can be, anything from 30 to 50%, it depends on the company, and make the payment through Alibaba. Make it through their system, and insist that this is the case, so that you're basically protected by their trade assurance policies. This is optional, but I would also pick up the phone and just have a chat with your contact. It could be a little awkward, a little difficult maybe, but I've generally found, when I've been placing orders and dealing with manufacturers in China, they're generally very friendly, and they just want to do business. Obviously there are cultural differences, but in general, they tend to be relatively easy to deal with, and more often than not, they're the ones on top of you, wanting for you to move ahead with your order. So I usually find them to be very responsive. But just to make sure, there's someone there, that someone answers, I would just have a chat with your contact, and as long as you place your order through Alibaba's system, then you should be absolutely fine and protected. And like I say, place so many orders from companies in China, and I've never
touch wood, ever had a problem with any of them. So a few important notes when you're making your inventory order. And once your inventory order is made, it could be 3 days, could be 1 day, could be a month. It depends what your product is. But you will need to make sure firstly that your supplier, unless you did this in the sample stage and get your product branded and sent to you as it will be when you sell it on Amazon, if you might have done that in the sample stage. If not, you will want the supplier to send you one fully packaged product when your inventory order is ready, so you can take photos and do other marketing related activities with it. Then if you are shipping to the US from abroad, from China, assuming your product is being made in China and your inventory order is under $2,500, which it will be for your first order, then using a courier, DHL, FedEx, etc., to get it directly to Amazon is fine. But if the order is over $2,500, then you might need to use a freight forwarding company as bond, and formal entry to the USA will be required in this instance. There's a very good link which I've included in the manual, which links to Shapiro.com, and they have a very good explanation about how it all works and how bond, entry, taxes, imports, all of that sort of stuff, how it all works in the USA. So I highly recommend that you read that. The other consideration is to use a professional packaging company, as in a packer, such as FBA Inspection. What FBA Inspection do, basically you would send, or you would ask your manufacturer to send your inventory order directly to them, and they're based in California, and they would open it up, they would inspect it for quality, they'd check if everything is just check everything is okay, and they can also add in your product inserts. They can add in, they can even sort of package the product up for you. I mean, it depends what you're ordering. You could be ordering packaging from one factory, you could be ordering your product from another. Both of them get sent to the same location, FBA Inspection. They pack them together, then send them off to Amazon. So they have actually quite a lot of different types of services. So it could be worth using them, because what you don't want is for a product or your first inventory order batch to be sent directly to Amazon. Amazon list it, there's something faulty about it, and then of course the review is going to be terrible and there's nothing you can do, and it's going to cost you an awful lot of money. So even though FBA Inspection does cost, it could be worth using them, but again, it really depends on what product you are selling. So if you're going to be using Amazon FBA, you are going to have to sort of prepare your account. If you're based in the USA, this is pretty simple. If you're based in a number of European countries, it's also more simple because than it used to be, because essentially it's all about the bank account. You need to have a bank account hooked up, and if you're in the UK or in a number of other European countries, and I think maybe possibly Australia as well, and South Africa, then you can use your foreign bank account in your Amazon.com seller account. If you're not in any of those countries, you can still do it, but you'll have to use a service such as Payoneer. And I'll explain a little bit more about that in this section. So there are a number of steps you're going to need to take. So step one, your manufacturer or supplier will send your product inventory to the fulfillment center. That's what will happen. That's step one. Step two, Amazon will store your products. Customers will order your products. Amazon picks and packs your products, and then Amazon will ship your product to the customer. So that is essentially how the process works, and that's what you'll be doing when your products arrive at FBA. That's what you're going to need to be tracking. So you'll have a task list to do here, and I think this section is probably going to be better in text, because it just gives step-by-step instructions about setting up your seller account, purchasing a UPC number for your product, adding FBA to your seller account, assigning your product to FBA and creating a shipment, and there's some additional important points as well. So rather than sort of run through this on a screencast, I think it's better that you read it and really try and understand it, because this is, without doubt, the most complex part of this whole system: setting up Amazon, setting up FBA, and making sure your products are labeled and packaged correctly according to Amazon's need. So read through this section carefully, and then of course you can email me if you have any questions.
In this video, I'm going to talk about product labels and promotional inserts. This video carries on a little bit from the video on packaging, where I was talking about how I box my products up to increase the perceived value. But just to recap on that, the type of products that I do that with, I put the product in a velvet bag. I put the velvet bag in the box, and then I put the barcode and some other elements on the box, and I'm going to talk about those in a moment. And then that box goes to Amazon. Amazon sends the box in one of their brown Amazon branded boxes to the customer, and when the customer opens it, you know, my product is there. It's its own thing, even though it's in Amazon packaging, and that is why I actually use a box. But you know, a box won't be suitable for all types of product. Kind of depends on what you're selling and what the product comes in, but you might need tags, or you might need to use stick-on labels. Now, if you'll use a stick-on label, which are very easy to produce, then you'll really, you know, just like the other packaging I was talking about, you're going to really want it to stand out and to be different from other sellers, and it needs to look and feel premium. There's, you know, it really is worth making the effort to think of really good ideas for labels or any packaging, or, you know, tags, boxes, etc. Because if you think of a good idea up front and put some effort into it, you know, you're just going to make more money. There's going to be, you know, people will recognize and remember your brand. It's really, really worth spending time getting it right, and you'll really see the benefits if you do that. You know, a lot of sellers just get a product, they buy it wholesale from China, they put it in, you know, some simple blister packaging and some plastic wrap, and then they send it off, and, you know, they never really get anywhere. They sell, but they never, you know, they're not exactly going to build a brand, and that is what we are aiming for here. So you can see some designs which I've included on this page, just as some examples. You know, and doing these, they, you know, it kind of depends on what you're doing. And what you need to include on your labels, it depends on the product. If it's a food product, you're going to need to include some additional elements such as nutritional information and, you know, allergy information and so forth. You know, we're not going to be, I hope you're not thinking about doing food products to begin with, but if you are in the future, you'll need to think about it. And, you know, there are some other elements as well, such as the barcode that you'll need to include. I also just wanted to bring up a few more examples. Even though this is part of a packaging, that could be a label. Quite simple to create, just needs a good idea. Again, this could be a label. Now, even though this is on brown packaging, you know, it's you know, you could still, you know, add a label to it. You don't necessarily need to have a new type of, you know, brown packaging created for this. And then looking at this one again, you could actually, even though this is part of a packaging, you could actually create this as an individual label and stick it on the box or on the product itself. So those are some additional ideas. Again, this is quite effective, but again, this is very, very simple. This isn't going to cost anything to get created. You know, really, it's just down to having a good thought and creating something effective and spending some time, you know, on this, you know, to reap the rewards later down the line when you're actually selling the product. So when you're creating your label or creating your packaging, no matter what it may be, you're going to need to include a number of things. You're going to need to include your logo. You're going to need to include your website URL, and we'll come on to that a little bit later. The website URL should really be small, and the reason why is because otherwise Amazon won't, you know, allow your product to be sold if it's, you know, you don't actually want, you know, they don't want people going to your website necessarily. It's okay if it's providing some sort of value, but, you know, if you're creating a label, you do want your website name on and website URL on there. But we'll come on to that a little later. You'll need your FNSKU number and barcode, so it can be scanned once it arrives at Amazon. We need to include where your product was made. You know, so for instance, if it's made in China, you'll need to include that information, but keep it small. If it's made in the USA, then maybe make it a little larger so people know that it's made in the country where they live. And then you'll need to include any other warning labels as well. So that's what you'll need to include on your packaging and on your labels or tags, depending on what you're doing and how you're presenting your product. If you have any questions on this, it's you can either contact me, and it's also worth contacting Amazon before you create anything, just to check that you're doing the right thing, just to check you don't go and get 1,000 labels printed off only for there to be some type of issue, or perhaps Amazon has changed their rules and regulations for sellers. So I would definitely recommend checking with Amazon before you get anything created at all. I do it for every single product, and literally anything I do, because Amazon support is so good. You just email Seller Central support, say I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, is this correct? And they will tell you whether that's correct or not. It's always worth doing that. Now the next thing I want to talk about is our product inserts. A product insert is an element, a piece of paper or a card, or like a business type card, which will be included in your packaging. So when someone receives your product, they open up the box or whatever the packaging may be, and they see this additional element in the form of a card. Now on this, you'll need to get these designed, printed out, and sent to your manufacturer, or perhaps your manufacturer could print them themselves, and they will need to include this in each individual package, and then obviously send it to Amazon after packaging and sealing everything up. So on this card will be your logo. You'll need to thank the buyer for their purchase. If you have the need to include any necessary instructions for the product that you're selling, then add them onto this as well. Again, add your website URL and the details about your opt-in offer. So in other words, a person will go to your website, they will see basically an offer where they enter their email, sign up in order to get a discount code for a further purchase of one of your products, but we'll come on to that later. And then there are some other things you can include about loyalty or premium programs, but again, we're going to come on to that a little later. That's sort of a little more advanced. And most importantly, on this product insert, you'll need to ask the person for a review, because the more reviews you can get, hopefully the more positive reviews you can get, the higher Amazon will rank your product in the search results. So you can see I've given an example of the type of thing you should include here. So it's really just the case of just saying, I'd be very grateful if you could take the time to leave a review, and then you just need to give them very specific instructions about how to do that, because most people don't really know how to leave a review. They don't know that they need to go back to the product page. Then because they're signed into their Amazon account, Amazon knows they've bought the product in the past, and then they leave a review that way. But most people don't know how to do that, so you really need to tell people, do this, and do this, and write a review. So that's very important as well. In terms of designing the insert, again, it's really just like creating a business card, or just doing something very simple, Photoshop. It really just needs to, it doesn't need to be anything amazing to begin with, it just needs to deliver the information. And you could, again, do this in Photoshop or get a graphic designer to do it for you. I've included an example of very good product insert here. You don't need to go this far, but I thought that I'd just include it just to show you what can be done with a little bit of thought and effort. So that's it for this video. So it's very important to think about the packaging, the labels and the tags, depending on what you're selling and what your packaging will be. Make sure that you spend time thinking about it and getting it right and coming up with something unique which makes you stand out from the crowd. Always contact Amazon before you do anything, before you get anything printed off or created, just to check you're absolutely right. You're getting you're getting it done correctly. You need 100% confirmation that you're doing it correctly before you do anything. And then obviously just think about your product inserts and get those designed as well. And really, just as an overview of both this section and the previous section and video on product packaging, the more time you put into this, the more effort, the more thought, the the more products you will sell. And it's very, very much down to that. If you look at really great brands and products, they always have incredible packaging. It really lifts a brand up. People remember your brand and they remember your products, and they're more likely to tell their friends about it, especially if you have something unique, and they're more likely to come back and buy again from you in the future. In this section, we will discuss how to build a simple, effective website for your brand and product. So I think what's important to say here is that the whole idea of this Amazon system, this Amazon MasterPlan, is to build multiple products under the same brand and then replicate the strategy into additional markets and additional products and brands. So for instance, if you're starting to sell yoga blocks, obviously you don't want it just to end at yoga blocks. You want to do yoga blocks first, and then under the same brand, create different products: yoga mats, yoga straps, yoga pants, and so forth. So that you really need to bear that in mind. And the reason why we need a brand website is that that's exactly you're going to want an online presence for people to be able to search for you, and also when we're talking about how we're going to market the products, not just on Amazon but outside of Amazon, your website's going to be very important as well. So later on, you're going to be driving traffic through from Facebook to your website, and then you're going to send traffic from your website to your Amazon product. The reason why you don't want to send your traffic or any traffic you buy directly to your Amazon products is that Amazon actually takes into account how well your page is converting as to where it ranks you in the search results. And so the idea is to essentially pre-sell your products on your website and then only send people who are actually interested in buying to Amazon. Then that will increase the conversion rate of your page, which will better your rankings, your organic rankings on Amazon. So there are two elements to the website. Firstly, there's the information on your physical product, and then as you build more products, you're going to add more products to your homepage, and then you can expand out your website a little more. And then there's the lead capture form, and it's really important to capture people's email addresses, capture leads, build your email list, because once you have an email list, every time you release a new product, you can blast an email out to the whole list, get instant sales, instant reviews, and get an instant best-selling product on Amazon, because the more reviews, the more sales, the higher you rank. And you can really sort of control everything. You can control when you send traffic to your products, can control the sales. I mean, you really can sort of control where Amazon ranks you if you have an email list. So it's very crucial to do that. When you're advertising, you'll be sending traffic from Facebook to your page. Ideally, they're going to read about your product information. They're going to opt in to your lead capture form in order to get a discount code for, say, 10%, which you can set up in Amazon and which they can then use when they go to Amazon in order to buy your product. And so it's an incentive to buy. So that's what you're going to need to think about when you're creating your website. For a few ways of creating a website, you can either use WordPress, create a website from scratch using HTML, if you know how to do that, or I recommend using Wix.com, which is a sort of a drag and drop website system. It's it's very, very easy to use. You don't need to know anything about building websites. It has millions and millions of users, and it's a fully tried and tested system. It does cost per month if you're going to have the Wix branding taken off, but it's a relatively small amount, and your website's going to be very important, so it's definitely worth doing. So like I say, logo, when you're building a website, no matter what system you're going to use, you're going to need your logo at the top. You're going to need to add a little bit about your brand, your mission statement, a little bit about your products. You're going to have your Amazon products, your first one, on the left here with benefits, a link to your Amazon product page once that's live, and then on your right, usually for the lead capture, it's either a coupon code or possibly a free book as a PDF file that people can opt in and get. It kind of depends on the market. Some markets there wouldn't be possibly be a book you could write about baby bottles or about something like that. But it kind of really depends. But it's usually just go with the coupon code as the incentive to opt in. The other thing you will need to include is a link to your Facebook page once that is set up. So that's it for this video. Just go ahead, create your website, just make it nice and simple and smart. Doesn't need to be complex. You don't need to create hardly any content for it at all. You just need your product, your logo, an incentive to opt in to build an email list, and a link from the website to your Amazon product page once your Amazon product is live. And then we'll come back to this a little later on when we get to marketing your product and your website via Facebook. In this section, I'm going to talk a little bit about listing and optimization strategies for your Amazon product listing. So previously, you created an initial listing in order to create the paperwork that needed to be sent to the supplier, that they needed to put in a box before sending it to Amazon's fulfillment center. So you've already created an initial listing, and now you'll need to optimize it in order to receive the maximum amount of exposure, traffic, and have good high conversion rate as well. The funny thing is that if you look at a lot of products on Amazon and a lot of sellers, they really make very, very little effort with their product listings, and it always amazes me really, because just with a tiny bit of effort you could literally double your conversion rate by spending an hour or two, but people just generally don't, and I don't know why, but they don't. But that's a good opportunity for you, because you can really stand out against the competition. And when someone is looking at your product listing versus another one, if your product listing looks as though more effort has been put into it, more effort's been put into the images, to the wording, to the description, to the bullet points, to the title, then just by default they're going to be more attracted to your product, and they're going to be more likely to buy it over another product. And so it's really worth spending a lot of time doing this. But when it gets complicated is when you have lots of different products. In one account I have over 1,000 products, 1,000 SKUs, and then it gets quite difficult. They're just sort of variations of a certain type of product, but which I don't recommend you do, by the way. But in that instance, it can get quite tricky to optimize everything correctly. But if you only have a single product or one or two products, it doesn't take very long. You just need to really put a lot of effort into it, and you'll see incredible results just by being better than everyone else. It's quite that simple. In this section, in this manual, I have again listed everything out in terms of what you need to do, and I think it's going to be easier to read through rather than me explain each section. Is everything I would say is written, and I think it's going to be easier for you to read it and follow the instructions, because you'll kind of need to do this in a step-by-step fashion. The elements are the vital info tab, the offer tab, the images, the description, and the keywords, and the more details tab. And the reason why I'm not going to go through this precisely in a video is really because it actually these elements differ depending on what you're selling. So in the more detailed section is that's going to be different in one category than it would be in another, and it's the same for some of these other elements as well, like the main product description and the product information is different in one category than it is another. So it's best just to sort of read through this and look at your account. So I think this is the reason why it's best just to read through this versus me sort of explain every single element, because actually it differs slightly depending on what you're selling and the category that the product that you're selling is in. It actually changes a little. So it should be self-explanatory. So if you just read through this manual and follow along, then you should be able to set your listing up to receive the maximum amount of traffic and exposure. So follow along and then let me know if you have any questions.
In this section, I'm going to explain about how to implement browse nodes correctly and why browse nodes are important for getting extra traffic and sales. Most people don't know what browse nodes are. They don't know how to implement them. They don't know that they should look at this section at all, and therefore lose out on some traffic. As always, it's the case of trying to get an upper hand over your competition and getting more eyes on your product, more sales, more reviews, and therefore better organic rankings when people do a search on Amazon in the actual search bar at the top for a particular product. So browse nodes are basically a category search, and I'll give you an example here. If I was looking for, say, golf practice balls as a random example, and I was looking to buy them, and I was filtering down through the sports and fitness sections, so I would click golf, obviously. I would then locate golf balls, which are here. I would then, it gives a number of options, but I would click practice balls because that's the product I'm looking for. And then Amazon would display what it thinks are the most relevant products for practice balls. And so the question is, or the idea is, you want to appear here. You don't just want to appear when someone types in practice balls into the search bar at the top. You actually want to appear here when someone does a category search. Now, the way you do that is to make an adjustment in your product listing. So this is an example product listing, and again, obviously, these are all the other areas you need to fill in: offer, images, description, keywords, etc. But if you look down here, you can see where the recommended browse nodes are and where you can add them. Now, depending on the product and the category, sometimes you can find this in the Vital Info tab, sometimes it's in the More Details tab. It actually depends on the category. But the way you do that is literally just click Edit, and then in the case of practice balls, I would scroll down to find sports and outdoors, then I would find golf, then golf balls, then practice balls, and then select that. And even though I'd already previously done it, this is what you would see. So now for this particular product, the browse nodes are set correctly. And so when someone does this category search, you have much higher chance of appearing right at the top here over other products that have not done their browse nodes correctly. So really it's just a way of getting additional traffic. Now, in this manual I have explained how to do it, and the other thing I have shown is how to actually find the correct category, because sometimes it can be quite difficult to find the exact category and subcategory that for a particular product. I mean, for instance, for yoga mats, it can be quite tricky to find yoga mats. You might think it's in sports and outdoors, but it isn't, and it's someplace else. And the way to find it, rather than spending, going back and forth, going through all the categories in your listing, is to actually download the Browse Tree Guide, which you can find in your Amazon seller account, located in the Help link. And so basically what you do, just click Help, search for Browse Tree Guides, and then you will see a link to the product classifier, and then that's basically a huge spreadsheet which gives required classifications or available classifications for a particular product. There are also some additional refinements which you can add in as well, and I explain how to do those in the manual. So really important to implement this once you have your product, or once you're setting up your listing, and just follow along in the manual, and it tells you exactly how to implement this. And if you do it correctly, you will end up getting more traffic, more sales, more reviews as a result of getting more sales, and that will in turn lead to better organic rankings when someone searches through the search bar at the top of Amazon.com. So it's really important to get this done, so follow along in the manual. I can give you any advice, then if you contact me by email, and I can help you through this. In this video, I'm going to talk about Facebook traffic, and specifically how to use Facebook to build a targeted email list of people who will want to buy your products on Amazon. So again, as this is a sort of a step-by-step process, I have written out quite a lengthy manual on how to do this. And I think it's probably easier for you to follow along in the manual than it is following along on a video explanation, which is why I've sort of, rather than just doing videos in the course, I've made the effort to actually write out everything as well, because I think it depends what you're trying to learn, but I think for some of this sort of step-by-step stuff, I think it's easier following along text than it is someone speaking. That's my personal opinion, but I think it's true in this context. So the whole idea, just to give you an overview, the whole idea of using Facebook is to generate clicks to your website, and from your website you are going to send people to your product listing on Amazon. The reason you want to send people to your website first, you want to make sure that someone is pre-sold to buying your product before they get to your Amazon listing. And that's important because Amazon actually tracks how well your product page is converting, and will actually adjust your organic listings and where you rank based on how your product page is converting, because obviously Amazon want to make sales because they make money if people selling on their site make sales, and so naturally they're going to rank the products which convert highly above the ones that aren't. And if you send all your traffic just directly to your Amazon product page, then your overall conversion rate will be lower than it would if you were sending people to your website, explaining about your product, giving them a discount code, then sending them to the listing. They're going to be far more likely to buy, especially as they have a coupon code or a discount code. So the whole idea is to set up ads, send people there, get them to opt in, give them a discount code, then send them to your Amazon listing. That's the whole idea here. And there are two real elements to Facebook. Now, the first one is to try and generate credibility, and you can generate credibility by getting fans for your Facebook fan page, for your business page. So if people visit your page and they see that 500 people, 1,000 people have liked this page, have liked this brand, liked this product, then there's going to be a higher chance of them going ahead and purchasing it. As social proof, basically. If people think that other people are buying something, they're more likely to buy it themselves. And so that's the first thing you will need to do, as I explain in the manual, is to first of all read through and define your audience correctly, and because that's obviously very important for getting the best response and best bang for your buck when you're advertising. But then after you've done that, you will need to set up a likes campaign in order to get 250 to 500 likes on your Facebook page. That's the first step. And then once you've done that, and I explain exactly how to do that using some proven methods that I've used for a number of years, then you will start doing your clicks campaign. So in other words, sending people to your website. Again, read through everything I've written down here. It explains everything in detail, and really you should follow this precisely. You should be able to get really good targeted traffic and get people onto your email list, and so you can send them other promotions at a later date for other products, other discounts, other types of products. If you were to expand out into creating Kindle books or mobile apps on the same niche, and there are all sorts of advantages in having an email list. Every time you want to make money, you can send out a mass email via a service like GetResponse or MailChimp, and you can make instant sales essentially, or make people do an action, whatever that may be, very, very quickly and en masse. Basically, just go through the manual, follow the instructions precisely, and you should hopefully see some really good targeted traffic, which will help with sales, which helps with everything else, and will help build up your brand and your exposure on the Amazon platform. So again, it's by far the best way. It's where you should start, and you don't start with other paid sources like Google AdWords or pay-per-view networks or banner ads on sites. I mean, Facebook is considerably more effective because you can really target the people who would be very, very interested in your product. So start here, and then at a later date we can go into some additional promotional strategies. But for now, this is all you need, combined with Amazon ads, Amazon product ads within their own system. If you start with both these elements, then that's really all you need in order to drive traffic for now. Again, we will go into some additional strategies at a later date. The other way to drive instant traffic and sales is by using Amazon's sponsored ads. A very, very good way of making fast money. Essentially, it is almost free money because you always make sales, and 100% of it, well, let's say 99% of the time, you're going to be profitable. Of course, if you're getting organic traffic and you're not paying for ads, you're going to be making more money for each product that you sell. But you're still going to be profitable by using Amazon sponsored ads in most cases. It's very, very easy to set up. You select your product. You set up an ad account within your Seller Central interface. You select a product, so you likely only have one, which is your first product. Then you just tell Amazon which keywords you want to advertise under. So if you're selling yoga mats, you want the keywords would be yoga mats, obviously, or maybe kids yoga mats, or just under yoga in general. Depends how specific and targeted you want to be. And then you just tell Amazon, okay, I want to appear in the ad section, the top right and bottom of the page, when someone searches for this specific keyword. And you will pay only when someone clicks on an ad of yours. And essentially it's just sort of instant visibility and instant sales, and I highly recommend trying it out. In this manual I've written out some tips here. Again, it's the same with Facebook, Google, Amazon. They change things all the time, so basically the information I have in here is what is current. This is what you can do at the moment. Things may change, and I will update this video and document as they do, but at the moment this is what is working. Basically, set a high daily budget, so say $25, and like I say here, you're not going to spend it, but it will guarantee you're going to get visibility and placement. Then you will bid $5 per click for each keyword. You're not going to pay $5, you're just going to pay to be above the next highest bidder, who will be bidding at something like 50 cents, or depending on the product, it completely depends. But if you bid at $5 per click, then you're guaranteed to get visibility, traffic and sales. And you're not going to pay $5, it'd be 30 cents, 50 cents, depends on the market and depends on the products and the competition and other factors. But it's not not expensive at all, and in fact it's around 10 times cheaper than advertising on Google or specific markets. The example I gave, which is real in this manual, is that on Google AdWords for the exact same product, I'm paying about it actually works out at about $5 a click. I'm paying in British pounds, but it's an expensive market and it's a very tough competitive market. So I'm paying about $5 per click on Google AdWords. In Amazon sponsored ads, I'm paying far less than that. It's under $1, something like 60 cents a click. And the traffic is far more targeted as well. So, even if you bid up, you're not going to pay very much and you will get instant guaranteed visibility. You can also track when a certain keyword has made a certain sale. If someone has searched for yoga mats, has gone to your product and then has bought it, Amazon will tell you that. Data for that is slightly delayed by like a day for telling you what keyword a product has converted from, but it'll tell you after sort of 24 hours or so. And therefore, when you know what keywords are converting and what are not, then you can obviously delete the ones which aren't converting and try some additional keywords until you have a sort of set of 5 or 10 keywords which convert very, very well for your particular product. So you just need to keep an eye on your costs, sort of check it every day, just check that your keywords are returning profits, and you'll find that Amazon ads really is, or currently is, a bit of a dream. It's like I say, it's kind of really free money. You put your ad up there, let your products get huge visibility and traffic, and you make sales. So it's definitely something to try out, as well as the other promotional methods I've mentioned in the course. In this video, I want to run through some additional promotional and traffic ideas. So I've really focused on two promotional activities to get website visitors and sales of your Amazon products, and they are Facebook advertising and Amazon sponsored ads. Of course, there are numerous other things you could do in order to get traffic, leads, sales, and so forth. But my advice would be, to really, focus on sponsored ads and Facebook, because that's really, the only thing. I mean, you can do perfectly well just doing that, and you can make, lots of money, lots of sales just doing those two things. But if you were to do anything else, then don't try to do everything. Just try to be a master of maybe one or two additional activities. Don't try to do everything I've listed here. The other important thing to mention is that no matter what you're doing, always send people to your website, and never send people directly to your product page on Amazon for any of your products. And the reason why is because you want people opting in to your opt-in offer. You want leads, and so you can market to people numerous times down the road and not just once. So always send people to your website. The other thing is, if you send people directly to your product page, and then that's going to lower the conversion rate of your product page, which will affect your Amazon rankings. So you definitely don't want to do that. So let's get started here. So the first thing you could do would be to really focus on your opt-in offer down here, and improving your the incentive for people to opt in. So I suggested earlier to perhaps give away some PLR content, but I've also given some idea. And PLR, by the way, is private label rights. We'll come on to that in a second. You could also position it as sign up to become a VIP, or part of a platinum group, or a platinum VIP, in order to get discounts and first notifications of new product launches in the future, and so forth. So you could, that could be a way of getting people to opt in. In addition, you could also say that, okay, you can do this, become a platinum VIP, plus get some type of content once you sign up as something for instant gratification. And rather than writing it yourself, like I just said, use PLR. So by PLR, I mean private label rights. All you do in this instance, say for instance you're selling a yoga mat, or selling a yoga block, or something like that, you would just go to Google, type in yoga PLR, and then up pops a number of options here. So for instance, yoga PLR, ebook, meditation, natural health, etc. So that might be something worth looking at. Or 70 high definition yoga videos with resale rights and PLR. So that would be a brilliant thing to offer. So maybe, I don't know, I'm not going to click through and see exactly what this is, but perhaps it's sort of 70 instructional yoga videos, which would be a perfect thing to offer. And you could probably buy them for sort of £50, $50, 50 whatever, and then take charge of them, and then upload them to your website, and so when someone opts in, that's what you'll give them. So that's how to get PLR. So just type in yoga PLR or fitness PLR or anything PLR into Google, and then you can find some options. Then the other option, one of the other things you could do would be to make videos. By this I mean creating videos and posting them to YouTube. So as an example, you can create a video, then advertise it. So for instance, here, if I was selling, I don't know, like this is a bad example really, because we wouldn't be selling recipe books, but to say I was selling recipe books on Amazon, I would, create a video about, maybe the 10 best barbecue recipes ever created. I'd create a video on that. I'd put it on YouTube and then promote that video on YouTube. So for instance, you can see the ad sign here, and I've actually written in, I've searched for cooking tips, and so I can anyone who searches for cooking tips, I can target them with one of my videos, and then drive traffic from that video to my website via a link in the description area of the video. So that's another thing you could do. Then you could perhaps get featured in news publications. You could write press releases. You could call up, email bloggers, influencers in the market, authors in the same niche, etc., and try to get interviews, do podcasts, anything like that. It really depends whether you want to do that sort of thing. But that is obviously a good way of getting more exposure for your products and brands. You could do a crowdfunding campaign where you can generate huge amounts of volume in pre-orders and exposure. I've just given a quick example here with this product here. It's some type of a spray, but they've evidently outsourced it. And they got someone in China or wherever to actually create this. It's really just sort of down to marketing. There's nothing special about this, and you can see they've raised over $100,000 in orders essentially. So crowdfunding is a very good opportunity and something you could certainly look at. Kind of depends on what you're selling. Then you could optimize your Facebook page, do Facebook updates. I've got a good example here, blender bottle. You could see exactly what these guys are doing here. They do some pretty good Facebook marketing. You could just sort of update your timelines based on what other people are doing themselves. You could get other get ideas from others. Then you could also do coupon codes, create coupon codes on Amazon and post them to lots of different coupon sites such as Slick Deals. Like I say here, just Google coupon sites, create a list and just add coupon codes to any way you can. You could promote them on Facebook as well. You could do Facebook ads with your coupon codes. Then you can expand socially, so do Twitter, do Pinterest, do Instagram. There's all sorts of things you could do there. Importantly, you could also set up your own e-commerce store. Now, this is something you would do further down the line if you created more products for your particular brand. So you could set up like a Shopify site, which is a way of, it's like an e-commerce platform, which is really easy to use. They host everything. You just create a simple e-commerce site, and you can sell stuff yourself. And that's quite important in some ways, just in case anything happens to your Amazon account. You've got somewhere to sell. Obviously, if you're selling it yourself, you're not paying Amazon fees. And so that's something you could definitely look into once you've expanded your product line. It's not something you do straight away. And again, I've mentioned up here, continue to build your brands and product lines. Don't just stop with one product once it's profitable, once you're making money. Continue to create other products in the same niche. And then once you've created 5 or 10, once your first market or your first brand is doing incredibly well, then, obviously move into other brands as well. And then finally, so I'm going a bit scattered here, going up and down this this document, but is to really focus on creating an autoresponder sequence. And by that I mean, once someone has opted in for your offer, so your VIP Platinum with 70 PLR videos as an incentive to opt in, you can send them automated emails promoting your products and services. And you would do this by signing up to a service such as GetResponse. So basically what would happen is if someone opts in, they receive a series of automated messages which you pre-write and load into GetResponse or MailChimp or iContact or Aweber or similar service. Pardon me, and the person would receive these messages automatically over the next 5 days, 7 days, 1 month, 1 year. I mean, you can just write as many as you like, and essentially that sort of automates your marketing and your communications with leads. So it's definitely a very good thing to try out. And of course, you can try most of these services for 30 days without having to pay anything at all. So that's it for this section. So like I say, make sure you send any traffic to your website and not to your Amazon product pages, and really focus on building leads, and also just only do 1 or 2 of these, or 2 or 3 at the most, and really just become a master of a small number of promotional activities rather than trying to do everything at once, because it's more difficult to do everything, and you won't do anything particularly well because you'll be too thinly spread. So just focus and try to get as much targeted traffic as possible. Okay, that is everything for this video. In this video, I just want to wrap everything up and tell you what I think you should be focused on and what you should be doing next. So hopefully by the time you've finished this course, you will have one product on Amazon selling, and hopefully selling well. Once you have done that, once you've achieved that, there are obviously some additional promotional activities you can move ahead with. I went through these in the previous section actually, and sort of told you to sort of focus on 1 or 2 additional promotional activities other than Facebook and Amazon sponsored ads. Also in that video I mentioned about how you should continue to build more products and more brands, and really that is exactly how to build out your empire. There are some additional things you can do to build your empire further. Now, to give you like an overview, I think, of what you should be doing. Again, first product into Amazon, your first brand, got your website up and running. You're starting to sell your product. You're thinking about additional products, and you should be, trying to find 3 or 4 or 5 per brand. But I think that's what you should aim for. And so you need to start that process as well. Then I mean, it really depends on the market, but you could also expand into other areas such as Kindle books, apps. You could, start writing a blog about a particular subject, and obviously, this is all in order to get more traffic to your products and make more sales and money. There's obviously, an additional thing you would need to you need to take into account, and I haven't mentioned it in this particular course, but that is outsourcing and getting people to do the work for you. Now there are many options here. There's Elance, or you could hire people through websites like onlinejobs.ph, which really focuses on Filipino workers who are usually incredibly good and very very hard workers, and that's you have, obviously if you start expanding out and you have more brands and more products and doing more promotional activities, then obviously you're going to need to think about outsourcing and getting other people to do a lot of the work for you. Otherwise it's impossible to do everything yourself and you'll never get anywhere. So those are the additional things you would need to think about when you're sort of expanding out once you're building your empire. And it's very important to think about those as soon as you can. So really, just to recap on everything, you've got your product in Amazon, you're building your brand, you're building more products for your first brand, you're doing additional promotional activities, you're thinking about additional brands, you're thinking about outsourcing, and really it's just a case of getting that all going, putting it all together, and replicating this system over and over again until you have more products, more brands, and essentially you have an empire which could be sellable further down the road. And I know a number of people who've sold their products, their brands, which they've started on Amazon for millions of dollars. So the opportunity is vast, but you really just need to stay focused, I think, and really stay focused on building products, building brands, and not deviating too far away from this particular opportunity. I think singular focus is incredibly important in order to be successful. So that's wrapping everything up now. I hope you've enjoyed the course. I'll be releasing more courses in the future, and I hope you will take those as well. Thank you, and goodbye.
Hello, and welcome to this special Udemy workshop where I talk about how to prepare for Amazon in 2024 Q4. So, navigating Q4 in a not so typical year. So Q4 is from October to December, and it's almost here, and it's anything but business as usual. In this webinar, we talk about the state of the e-commerce industry and strategies and tactics for your online business in Q4. I mainly focus on Amazon, but a lot of the information in this webinar can be applied to any online business model. So, what will we cover? Talk about the state of the industry in 2020, what is trending for Q4, Prime Day and Black Friday, and inventory management, as well as brand registry, Amazon PPC and advertising strategies, multiple sales channels outside Amazon, and finally other Q4 factors and general tips for navigating this 2020 year. So, the state of the industry this year. The brick and mortar retail sales are down 14%, and recovery is not actually expected for at least 5 years to pre-pandemic levels. However, online sales Q2, so that would be April, May, and June, were up 44% from last Q2, and it's up 18% so far this year. Spending as a whole is down 10.5%, but I mean, they're still close to $5 trillion. E-com sales are expected to reach $710 billion in the US in 2020. So online sales are now 16% of total sales, up from 12% at the beginning of the year. And in the UK, they're over 30% of all sales. Retail sales, that is. So due to more people shopping online this year, e-commerce growth has accelerated 4 to 6 years faster than projected. A lot of these people are shopping online for the first time and will continue to do so. So this percentage growth of total retail sales is likely to be permanent. Amazon's share is 38% of total e-commerce in the United States. Their sales rose 43% in the spring. That's mainly on grocery and essential items. They have also hired 175,000 more employees to deal with the surge in demand for basically everything. Keep an eye out for Walmart, as they may surpass eBay to be the number 2 e-commerce seller, and they're nearing 6% of total e-com. Walmart's definitely one to keep a watch on, as they expanded their program and they're allowing more and more third-party sellers inside, and that is businesses like yours and ours. And Target is also not that far behind, though so far their program is invitation only. So what will Q4 be like? So that's in October, November, and December. And that's where most sales are made. So for brick and mortar stores, they're actually scaling back Black Friday. And second wave of pandemic may even close stores again. So what do you think online will be like? Well, we're thinking it might actually be double from last year. Over 70% of shoppers are set to turn to e-commerce for more than half their holiday shopping this year, which is a huge increase from last year. Q4 should be better managed with less panic buying, and Amazon and delivery services better prepared this time round. So what is trending in Q4? Well, what usually trends is toys and games, personalized gifts, jewelry, kitchen gadgets, pet supplies, toys, and technology. So along with those, you also have home decor, exercise equipment, home office supplies, and home entertainment. And with COVID and people staying home, these products, all products as a whole, will likely continue to be in high demand. So along with all the usual holiday gift giving, people are also upgrading their home and things to do at home. So as you can see, blankets, as an example, always get a spike in Q4. Well, will it continue this year? Well, think of this. People are staying home, the weather still gets cold in winter, and blankets are a cozy source of security in times of uncertainty. So the answer is probably even more this year. So in fact, looking at the trends, and this screenshot was taken in mid-September, it's already generating more interest now than at the same time last year. So right now the trend is 45 out of 100 versus 38 out of 100 the same period last year. So let's try another one. How about winter vacation? So in regular years, buying travel-related products for holidays would be a no-brainer. This year, though, well, interest is raising a bit now, but not nearly as much as the year before. So I would stay away from selling these products or reduce your inventory in this category versus what you would have done last year. Two minds about this, of course. With COVID fatigue and people cooped up for too long in the house, travel products may swing upwards, especially if there's a chance of vaccine. On the other hand, with cases rising, things might go into lockdown again. But overall, I say that many people will be celebrating at home this season. How about home gyms? So in a normal year, there's barely a spike in Q4. The spike for home exercise equipment is mainly in January. This year, though, you could see the massive spike in interest as gyms closed and everybody had to exercise at home. Once summer came along, people went outdoors, jogged outside, and people's minds were on other matters. There was a rise of interest again in July, then a fall in August, likely because people were more concerned about school and other activities. However, now that holidays are approaching, you're starting to see an uptick again. I think that home gym equipment will not only be popular in Q4, but could spike even higher in January. Alright, now let's talk a bit about Prime Day and Black Friday. So even though it's already near the end of September, Prime Day this year still has not been announced. So in normal years, and I say normal in quotation marks, Prime Day is usually in July, and that's when sales are usually slower. It didn't happen this year, not only because of everything else happening, but because Amazon themselves couldn't prepare it properly for it due to continued inventory and delivery problems. However, we've been getting a lot of emails from Amazon recently talking about Prime Day and to prepare for it, so it's got to be soon. Analysts say that the most likely date will be on Monday, October 12th and Tuesday, October 13th. There was a note leaked just this morning where no Amazon employee is allowed to take those days off, so probably they're gearing up for Prime Day to be those dates. And they should be announcing it, I think, on September 27th. That's this Sunday, so we'll find out for sure then. So, Amazon Prime Day numbers. It's the second largest shopping event for Amazon sellers, and Black Friday is the first. Last year, Amazon sold 175 million items on Prime Day, and third-party sellers, so that is you and me, generated 1.5 billion in sales during a 36-hour period. Over 100 million people have Prime membership, and that's about 62% of all Amazon customers. Peak sales and deals were around 11 a.m. Pacific time, followed by 6 p.m. And large brands are increasingly launching new products during Prime Day. Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So this year, Black Friday is November 27th, 2020. Many brick and mortar stores will be downplaying Black Friday or turning it into a week-long event, and that's to better handle crowds. In fact, it's been a trend in recent years to turn Black Friday into a week-long or even a month-long event of deals to cut down on the massive crowds and deaths. Google surveyed shoppers this last June, and 3/4 said that they will shop more online during the holidays, and 1/3 of respondents say that they will only shop online. So Home Depot is canceling their Black Friday altogether, and Macy's and Walmart will be closed on Thanksgiving. It's the first time in 30 years, I think. Some stores are also considering a lottery system where you can win a spot to shop in store. So what does this mean for online? Well, very possibly a massive shift to shopping online. So no matter when or where Prime Day falls, the strategies for both Prime Day and Black Friday are the same. So take advantage of lightning deals. Not only do you get direct exposure to your products, you'll also increase your sales momentum, increasing your rankings in the long run. And submit products to multiple Prime Day and Black Friday deals. Amazon sends a lot of emails where you can submit your products, and also look in your dashboard and you'll see information there as well. You can also get creative, such as bundling your products to increase sales. You can now do this through something called Virtual Product Bundlings Tool, and that's for registered brand owners only, where you can actually bundle 2 to 5 complementary ASINs and sell them from a product detail page. You don't have to do that physically. You can keep your stuff in FBA and they'll do it for you. Okay, another thing is to get more active on social media and, of course, utilize your email list. So if you have a Facebook page or a Facebook group, mention your sales and deals. You can drive traffic to your listings from Instagram, Pinterest, and other channels. If you know some social influencers, now is definitely the time to contact them. Also, begin email campaigns listing your sales. What we usually do in early September is send out 2 mails per week leading up to Black Friday. These emails will be a mix of information, Black Friday shopping tips, and our sales as well, sales and coupons. We do a mix of information so our subscribers feel that there's value in reading our emails. And most importantly, we email them simply so that we are at the front of their minds when they're ready to buy. After all, your typical customer is going to get bombarded with emails, deals, coupons. So if you send them regularly spaced emails, there's more of a chance that you'll stay in their minds for when they are finally ready to buy. Okay, you could also set up a viral contest. So what we have done successfully in the past is set up a contest or two to generate excitement and gain new leads. So we use a tool like UpViral, where you can set up contests where the more that participants refer your contest to others, the more chances that they have to win. We actually usually start these contests in late summer to build up our list for Q4, but it's not too late to start now, and even continue different contests throughout October, November, and December. In fact, holding these contests in the middle of Q4 is also extremely effective, at least for us, as contest participants are thinking about your brand, and friends and family they refer your contest to are more likely to be curious and check out your products. So make sure you set up coupons and sales during the contest as well. Also, if possible, have the winner receive something else besides your products or an Amazon gift certificate. So I would say some sort of product that's complementary to yours, but one that you don't sell. That way, more people will buy your products during the contest instead of waiting to see if they win them instead. All right, time to talk about inventory management. So it's one of the most important aspects of a successful Q4. You have about a 45-day period where you sell as much as you can without completely running out. So there's a bit of a balance you have to try to achieve. And don't forget Halloween season as well, and trailing sales in January. Anticipate 4 to 5 times the sales you usually have during the rest of the year. And this year could be even higher. Okay, there's IPI and storage limits in Amazon, so that's definitely something you have to be aware of. Send in as much inventory as you can. Unfortunately, if you have an IPI below 500, Amazon will limit your storage, unfortunately. For existing products, you can see your maximum restock level by going to your Inventory tab, selecting Inventory Planning, tabbing over to Restock Inventory, and hovering your mouse over the green and red bar of a particular product. You'll be able to see what you're allowed to bring in for that particular product. For all sellers, Amazon is limiting the amount of inventory you can send in per product. Everybody should have received an email in July from them, and this is a temporary measure. So, what do you do if you have storage limits and a low IPI? Well, there are a couple things you can do. First of all, of course, get your IPI up past 500 as soon as possible. So to do this, you could check and pull any excess inventory and try to get your sales up. So Amazon's big concern right now is to clear out their warehouses of slow-moving product. And I think right now they're allowing you to remove excess inventory for free, but you're going to have to check on that if that's still allowed. Another strategy you could try is to create 2 listings. So one of your listings will be FBA and the other will be SPF, or merchant fulfilled. So that's you fulfilling it. So what we do is simply have the same SKU but with like an A at the end for Amazon fulfilled, or an M at the end for merchant fulfilled. So your ASIN will be the same since it's the same product, and have only one listing active at a time. So once you sell out of your FBA product, then quickly switch to merchant fulfilled. Okay, have a 3PL warehouse on standby. So Amazon isn't the only company that stores and fulfills your products. Have a trusted third-party logistics warehouse hooked up to your Amazon account and ready to send out your merchant fulfilled products. This is what we did last spring to keep sales flowing. So, 3PL warehouse. So many companies can integrate with your Amazon account. When you join, they will instruct you on how to do this in your account. The Amazon order goes directly to their systems within their own warehouse, and they simply pack up your product and ship it to your customer. You'll be responsible for shipping concerns and customer service, so make sure your 3PL warehouse has records and tracking numbers of all shipments. Tracking will automatically be uploaded into your Amazon account for each shipment as well. Okay, I have a couple recommended 3PL companies for United States. You have ShipBob, Whitebox, Deliver, and that's Deliver with 2 R's. Shipwire, Red Stag, and there's a whole pile of others, so you could Google it. Any others that your friends might recommend. This is a couple others that we've either dealt with or heard good reviews about. And in Europe, you have 3P Logistics, StoreShip, Easy Logic, and Habu. I think that's how it's pronounced, or something like that. Habu. Okay, another thing you could do is store your products and then ship them from your supplier. So we've done that in the past, but this year we don't recommend it. So in the past, what we would have done is keep inventory with the supplier and then have them airship straight into Amazon when it's needed. But this year, I wouldn't rely on transportation, due to the obvious circumstances. And also, Amazon is notorious right now for spending weeks checking in your inventory. As well, global freight fees have spiked way upwards this year as well. So personally, I find this option to be too unreliable this year. You're also at the mercy of your supplier, and even if they've been reliable in the past, who knows what unknown factors this Q4 could have on global shipping. So I'd be much more comfortable knowing it is stored and ready to ship in the same country where I sell on Amazon. Hey, maybe you could store all your product at your home. So if you're a US-based supplier, you can simply store it at your home. Of course, you'd have to do all the shipping and fulfillment yourselves. But one tip I heard from someone else I thought was a pretty neat idea is you can rent a storage cube for a month to store your inventory, and some places will even give you the first month free. So basically you do it in November, store all your products, sell it through December, and then have them carted off in January, so you only pay for December fees. Alright, brand registry. So if you're a private label seller with your own brand, I strongly suggest you register for brand registry, and that's brandservices.amazon.com. So with it, you'd be better able to protect your brand, and you'd have extra tools, options, and bonuses as a seller as well. So this gets a bit into the dark side of Q4. So just like any sort of business model, there will always be shady characters and scammers. And this is especially true on Amazon, and such activity increases in Q4 where most of the money is being made. So registering as a brand on Amazon gives you additional protections against fake listings opened up under your own brand name or stolen images, and you also have more tools to report infringing sellers. Note that this does not limit other sellers from selling your products. And one of the core values of Amazon is allowing other sellers to sell anybody's products. Though in practice, many big brands are successfully shutting down other sellers from selling their items, which is a problem if you're a dropshipper for Amazon. So, what do shady characters and scammers do? So they can hijack your actual product listing. There's a lot of IP theft, so they would open up their own fake listings in your name and try to sell products, non-existent products, of course. They'll steal your images, they'll steal your text, video, stuff like that. They'll also attempt to shut down your account with fake complaints. And scammers are also looking for brands that are not brand registered, and they might even claim your brand as their own. It kind of sucks. Because remember, you do not own your Amazon listings. Amazon does, and anybody can suggest edits. So the one requirement for Amazon brand registry is your brand must be trademarked, and that often takes 9 months to a year. However, you can now accelerate your trademark process with Amazon's IP Accelerator service, and it's free. You just pay the trademark law firm's fees, which I notice are often lower than traditional routes anyway. So what will happen is the law firm will fill out all the paperwork for trademark approval, and while the trademark itself will still take 9 months to a year, you can be set up for brand registry in about 2 weeks, because Amazon knows that you're registering for the trademark. So to do that, you go to brandservices.amazon.com/IP Accelerator. Okay, there's many other perks of brand registry. You got A+ content. That's formerly called enhanced brand content. What you can do is you can add images and layouts to your listing rather than just the standard text content. Amazon's even allowing videos on some of their listings. You can have an actual brand store. So you can add up a store. You can add a storefront for your brand. You have many extra advertising options, and we'll talk about this a little later. Okay, and you can also split test your product listings to optimize your content. Okay, and you also have analytics. And note that if you have more than one brand, you would apply separately for each brand you own. So each would have its own storefront, advertising options, and split testing and analytics and stuff like that. All right, let's get into Amazon PPC and other advertising strategies for Q4. So remember that a large ranking factor in Amazon includes sales velocity, and that's how many sales you make in a month, as well as conversion rate, which is clicks to your listing divided by sales. So the number of people who visit your product page and those who actually buy. So the really powerful thing is that PPC sales are included in this measurement, meaning that the more you sell through advertising, the more it'll positively affect your natural rankings. So Q4 is the time to further optimize, ramp up, and create new campaigns. So why spend on PPC in the first place? Well, let's take a look at this screenshot right here. For good or ill, Amazon is becoming less of a marketplace and more of an advertising platform. In fact, they're the third largest advertiser in the United States, with Facebook and Google being number 1 and 2. So if you look at the screenshot, every single listing on this page is an ad. The organic results are below that. So is this bad? Well, for the consumer, probably, because they're not necessarily buying the best product, but the person who's advertising the most. Though, as I mentioned, conversion rates are a big factor in advertising. So a low quality listing that's trying to use PPC will face a lot more difficulty. However, I feel it's fantastic for us sellers because if we have a great quality listing and higher than average conversion rates, we'll always be at the top or near the top of the listings. I mean, yes, we have to pay for the privilege, but remember, PPC sales count in organic rankings. So overall, our sales will be in this excellent feedback loop of more PPC sales, which would mean better organic positioning, which means more sales, and so on and so forth. So some tips, because everybody will be advertising on Amazon in Q4, the PPC costs will be higher. However, there are a couple techniques you can practice now to best optimize your Q4 campaigns. So delve deep into reporting. If you've been running campaigns for at least a month, make sure you look at your reports. And to do so, go to your advertising dashboard and click reports on the left. And this is a new interface that was just released, I think this week or last week. So yours might look a little different. The old one, its reports would be on the top navigation in a tab, so you would just click there. So click Create Report and choose Sponsored Products, Search Term Report, and then go back 2 months or however much you have. And then click Run Report in the upper right. I found the process sometimes hangs, so you just go back to the main report screen and you should see it there. So then you just click to download it. Okay, then you open it in Excel or Google Sheets and look for the total orders and sort it by largest to smallest. So you would have the largest amount of units sold on your spreadsheet. The total orders column might say 7-day total orders, but it's actually the reporting period you choose. So if it's 2 months worth, then that's 2 months worth of orders. Once you do that, take note of which search terms are generating the most sales and still making you a good profit. So what we want to do is maximize the sales on these search terms. So this is something you should be doing throughout the year to optimize your PPC, and it's especially important for Q4. So once you record your best keywords from that spreadsheet that you've been studying, create manual campaigns just targeting these top keywords. So I'd create separate ad groups for broad and exact match terms and label them like that and see which performs better. So in the case of one of our manual keyword campaigns, which you can see here, we have 2 ad groups. We have broad and exact. So the broad one is doing better, and we have 10 total keywords. So we've turned 3 of them off, which weren't performing very well. These keyword terms also have competitor brand name search terms that perform well for us. So that is, customers will actually type in the name of our competitor, they'll see our product as an ad, and they'll click and buy that product instead. The exact one doesn't nearly do as well for us on this example. However, our return on ad spend isn't that much worse, so we're leaving both these groups active. And remember, this is just on one product. So you do this for all your products that you want to promote for Q4. Okay, think ACOS, not ACOS, or however you pronounce it. So ACOS is advertising cost of sales. So that's the percentage of your sales that you spend on advertising. And the lower and the better. So 100% ACOS means you're spending 100% on advertising to get the same amount of sales, which is really bad. So if you're spending $100 on advertising and making $100 in sales, that's definitely not very good. I try to keep mine below 20 or 30%, but it doesn't really matter because what I want to focus on is advertising cost of total sales. And the reason why we do this is because you have to remember that PPC sales also lift up your organic sales. So if your ACOS is kind of high, it might be okay because it's also lifting your organic sales. And also, don't discount brand awareness. So somebody who sees your ad but doesn't click, or even does click, and then recognizes your product later on and buys it, if it's after a certain amount of time, it's considered an organic sale. So just as an example, say you sell 100 items in 1 month without any advertising. The next month you turn on your advertising and you make 100 sales that way. But you find out that your total sales is 250. That means you made an extra 50 sales. More than likely it's because your PPC campaign caused a boost in your rankings. And that's why we'd rather calculate ACOTs. So let's give an example. So these are actual PPC numbers in our Amazon dashboard for one product. So the ACOS here is 21.87%, which is a little high, but not too bad. However, since we know that our PPC campaigns help our organic Amazon rankings, we only record the ACOTs on our sales sheet, and I'll show you that right here. Okay, so in this case, though we spent $687 in PPC on this product, total sales were almost $6,000. So our ACOTs is 11.5%, and that's PPC spend divided by total sales and expressed as a percentage. It's not divided by PPC sales. And now that I look at a screenshot, I realize that I should have changed target and actual PPC headings to ACOTs instead. So I'll probably do that when I get off the webinar. So anyway, I mention this now because your PPC numbers and your ACOS may get uncomfortably high in Q4 because of all the new competition pushing bids higher. But before you get nervous and turn off your advertising, first look at your overall sales. Your campaigns will likely be fueling much higher organic sales as well, saving your net profits. So for the same product last Q4, ACOS was an ugly profit-breaking 35%. That is, our PPC costs were 35% of the entire costs of PPC sales. However, that was just PPC sales. With all the organic sales factor in, so all our total sales on this product, the percentage was actually down to 7%, which is a lot more satisfying number. And with the knowledge that a lot of those organic sales is due to our PPC campaigns. So even though the PPC campaign cost might be high, it still resulted in a large amount of sales through PPC and through organic. All right, so another thing you can do is adjust your bids to increase the visibility. And you can do this by adjusting your bids at the campaign level. So if you usually spend $1 per click and you adjust the bid by 50%, you're telling Amazon that you're giving them permission to increase your bid to $1.50. So of course, make sure your conversion rate is already high to begin with. So if you know you're getting one sale per 10 clicks and your usual bid is $1 per click, then you're paying $10 per sale. So during the holidays, when you increase this by 50%, you might be paying up to $15 per sale. So your costs will be higher, but the payoff is that you'll make 500 sales instead of the usual 150 or 200 at other times of the year. Okay, also add seasonal keyword terms. So along with creating campaigns with your best keywords, as I just talked about, also add keywords into your new campaigns. So you could say your keyword Halloween, or your keyword Black Friday, or Christmas, or Prime Day. And make sure you have them broad match, because exact match wouldn't be as effective because you don't know if people are exactly typing in your keyword phrase followed by Prime Day. So you just want your PPC ads to show when your customer types in your targeted keyword phrase along with a seasonal word somewhere in their search. And then, of course, turn them off after the relevant season has passed. Okay, lightning deals. So this is to jumpstart your sales. You can have a lightning deal during Q4. So it will cost between $150 and $500 to host one, but if it's approved, you will then be featured on one of the most visited pages on Amazon and during the busiest time of the year. So lightning deals last 24 hours, and you can select which week to host it. Amazon will assign you the actual day, and of course you have to be approved. If you're not approved, and Amazon bases lightning deals on seasonality, popularity, and other factors, then you won't be charged, and you can try again later. So Black Friday and Cyber Monday, of course, will be the best time slots to run a lightning deal, though we found that any time in November and December is good. Okay, so this is only for brand sellers. So earlier I talked about increasing your brand awareness before Q4 by setting up email lists and stuff like that. So along with this, you also have special advertising blocks just for registered brands. So these are called sponsor brands and sponsored display ads. So sponsored brands are a must if you're brand registered. So you advertise your actual brand and a group of selected products that you select yourself. These used to be called headline search ads. And this is the result. So they're always powerfully effective for our brands, mainly because you're not competing with the 90% of other advertisers pushing your products. You have a reserved spot right at the top of the search page showing your brand name and your products. So often when somebody searches for a product, so say yoga mats, Amazon will no longer just present a list of products. They will first list a sponsor brand ad, as you see, and this is an incredibly powerful way to sell your brand's products, as you're visible before any other products are even listed. So the drawback, of course, is that these types of ads will be much more expensive, but the result, at least for us, has been much higher volume of sales. Like any PPC campaign, you have to keep testing and optimizing your conversion rates, which is where A/B split testing on your listing becomes very important. Okay, you also have sponsored display ads, and these allow you to show your products across Amazon as well as other websites as retargeting ads. So what happens is that these ads re-engage shoppers who leave Amazon or visit related competing products on Amazon. And if they saw your product or a similar product, it doesn't even have to be your product, your ad will show up around Amazon or on a trusted partner website such as Yahoo or CNN. And then clicking the ad will send them back to your listing. So this is fantastic if you have a famous competitor that your customers also look at. You might be able to show up right on their product page as a viable alternative. All right, so that wraps up PPC and Amazon. So we're going to talk about other areas that you can, other sales channels that you can think about during Q4 or afterwards. So there's several other sales channels. There's Shopify, Walmart, Target, Wayfair, eBay. We'll talk about some of those right now. So Walmart, they're aggressively trying to combat Amazon. And so they're inviting a lot more third-party sellers into their system. And that's our businesses. So right now you must be approved to sell on Walmart, but you might as well get the ball rolling right now. So they're definitely not going anywhere. And their online sales have surged close to 75% during spring 2020. Not just that, they're also planning fulfillment centers. So you can send your stock to Walmart warehouses, and similar to Amazon, they'll fulfill and ship it as well. So along with Walmart, also keep your eye on Target, which is also planning a large e-commerce rollout. Their sales climbed over 200% this year online. So right now they're being very selective and it's invite only, but who knows what the future will bring. Alright, you have eBay, and this was even before Amazon, and there's still a huge presence for e-commerce sellers. About 5% of all our sales is from eBay. I mean, not much, but better than no presence. Actually, if you don't even sell on eBay, other third-party sellers will likely sell your items. We've repeatedly seen this, and it's caused some issues with brand misrepresentation in the past, as customers would angrily say that we've been sending them clearly used items, and we're like, well, how and where? And then they say it's on eBay, and we're like, we don't even have a presence on eBay. So make sure you have an official presence on eBay so you can sort of control this a little better. And of course, you also need to have a 3PL service, as eBay doesn't fulfill for you. You have to do that yourself. Okay, Etsy's another one. So they specialize in handmade products, and that's officially all you can sell. However, their not so dirty secret is that anything goes. So as a quick search, I looked up a digital thermometer, which I highly doubt can be handmade at home. So if you're a white label seller with your own branded products, I'd encourage you to list and sell them, especially if you're into the crafts, jewelry, or home decor niches. Okay, then you have Wayfair. They have over 20 million active customers. And they specialize in home and garden products. So what happens is Wayfair buys your product at your wholesale price, and you act as the drop shipper. So they make money by selling at their retail price, and once your product sells on Wayfair, then you have to fulfill it yourself. So this is another area where you need a 3PL supplier to store, fulfill, and ship your product. They generated over $9 billion in sales in 2019, so they're kind of a big deal as well. You could also try your own e-commerce store. So set it up using Shopify, BigCommerce, or WooCommerce, which is the WordPress form of e-commerce, and then just sell your products from your website. So you can fulfill your own sales using a 3PL company, and it can integrate with your sales system, so you don't actually need to do anything. So they'll fulfill everything automatically. You yourself just have to concentrate on making sales through advertising on Facebook, Google, social media, your email list, wherever. Shopify is also planning their own fulfillment network similar to Amazon. Currently, you need to sell at least 10 items per day to qualify for this. Also, what we've been doing throughout the year are Facebook and Instagram ads showcasing our products, and they would go to our Shopify store. The target for us is not to actually sell our products, it's to get customers into our email list once they reach our Shopify website. So now that we have a much larger and beefier list of qualified leads, we'll be sending them sales and coupons to our Shopify store and to our Amazon product listings during Q4, just as an extra channel to sell our products. All right, final tips for Q4 in 2020. E-com growth. So Q4 will likely see the largest growth in online shopping in history, simply because physical stores are scaling back or even closing. I feel this surge will be permanent due to the millions of people shopping online for the first time and getting more comfortable with it. You have to wonder if Amazon's going to shut down again, or at least they're already limiting products going into the warehouse. Could get worse, who knows? Especially if the second wave of pandemic hits, they might have problems fulfilling your items. So for insurance, I would have another delivery method in place, such as having your inventory in a 3PL warehouse like Deliver or ShipBob, just in case. Hey, bundling. Think of bundling products to increase exposure and sales in Q4. So you can bundle hot selling items with slow moving items just to clean out your inventory. And offset losses. So if you're in a niche that's been negatively affected, such as travel, you could try bundling your products with items that your customers can use at home, like maybe a travel mug, or maybe hand sanitizer clips for your backpacks or stuff like that. So Q4 will definitely be unprecedented in terms of sales and predictability. So I would begin planning now, send in your inventory, and think of alternative warehouses and fulfillment methods using 3PL. You can explore other advertising options and promote your own e-commerce website as well. So with millions of more customers shopping from their own home, anticipate the opportunities and finish 2020 with a massive sales surge and profits. So this was presented by Digital Success Network, which consists of Aiden, Steve, and Tim. My name is Chris, and I'm often behind the scenes working with Tim on Amazon FBA and other online projects. So come check us out. We publish new blog posts every week on digital marketing, and this presentation will be as a blog post as well this week. Thank you, and I hope Q4 will be a great success for you in your Amazon business.